nephew. With that mighty Skywalker blood, and in my hubris, I thought I could train him. I could pass on my strengths. By the time I realized I was no match for the darkness rising in him, I went to confront him. And I was left with shame and with consequence. Because I was Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master. A legend.
Hey! Hey! Are you crazy? What's the matter with you? What happened?
What do you want?
You don't know who I am, do you?
Well, should I know who you are?
Not much time. Hang on, kid. I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
This is Rogue 2. Echo Base, this is Rogue 2. I found them. Repeat, I found them.
Fade in.
This is where the fun begins.
Hello there.
Crap. 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 Crap.
You know, you guys sure are friendly, aren't you?
I'll probably never meet him.
You might. There's something different about him.
The Force is strong with you.
Had enough?
What do you want? I'm busy.
No, we have a race.
No. There's nothing special about you. You're
Nothing.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Well, what's that then?
I've had worse.
You liar!
Come on, you pansy.
Victory is mine.
Just a flesh wound.
You will each be part of me, and together we will be complete.
Use the Force. Let go.
The Force is strong in this one. I have you now. What?
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. Cocainum. Like a rock.
Perhaps you referred to the imminent attack of your rebel fleet. Yes, I assure you, we are quite safe from your friends here.
He saved us. He really did it. May the Force be with us.
Greetings, programs! Together, we have achieved a great many things.
Greetings, programs. Welcome to the Not My Star Wars live stream. How is everybody on this Monday? Today is kind of a pop-up stream, although I knew about this about 2 weeks ago. But as far as scheduling, you have to, the problem is Facebook. You can't schedule something like but a day ahead. Anyways, it's just kind of a pop-up thing. We will see. I have no idea what Bob Chapek is going to talk about. There might be something interesting. It might just be boring, but we'll hang out for a few, see what Mr. Bob has to say, and we'll take it from there. So it starts at 3:05, apparently here in just a minute. So we will see what he says. Looks like it's started. So I'm going to go ahead and share it. Just a moment. I didn't realize I had to. Hold on, I got to sign up through an email. Just a moment. Not that we're going to really miss much of anything. Can everybody hear me okay? Sound all right? Because I'm using earphones. If you guys can confirm the sound's okay. Looks like it is. Okay. It has just started. If anyone is interested, at the bottom of the description of this stream is the link. You will have to sign up with an email, but all right. I'm going to share it, and we're going to listen to what Mr. Bobby has to say. Hello, everybody. Afterwards, I will read all your chats and talk to you guys. Let's get into what he is saying. Please confirm that you can hear him.
That's Fireside Chat. I have enough questions to run the full session. Bob, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and we'll jump right in.
Thanks, Doug.
So, look, you stepped into the CEO role right in the teeth of the pandemic. Have had a busy first 16 months, NFL deal, Star launch, much more. You're able to put your initial stamp on the company, though, with the segment realignment. So there's a lot to talk about. Let's start from a high level. As we emerge from the pandemic, what's Disney's strategy to create value for its various stakeholders? And what does the management team have to get right to deliver that value?
So I would start by saying that despite the challenges of the last 18 months or so, we're as optimistic as ever about the future of our business. As you had referenced, we instituted a reorganization to support our more aggressive push into direct-to-consumer. And most importantly, that guaranteed strong, steady content flows into all of our channels of distribution based on our strong brands and our incredible franchises. That's really our biggest competitive advantage. At the same time, I think our more mature channels of distribution are ensuring those strong cash flows. So we want to keep those things healthy so that we can continue to make the kind of investments that are necessary to achieve our goals in direct to consumer. And then we want to distribute those pieces of content in ways that really embrace both the changing consumer behavior that we're seeing and obviously the more short-term but very important recovery from COVID, and do that with a certain flexibility and balance between both short-term operating performance and long-term shareholder return. In terms of our other big piece of our business, our parks and experiences business, we've really used the shutdown in order to fully reconsider, I'd say, every aspect of our operation to not only improve our guest experience, but at the same time manage our yield and accelerate the work that we've been doing in that yield management area for about the last 5, 6, 7 years. And we're happy so far because we've seen some really encouraging underlying demand as we dig out of COVID. And we've got I think with the ultimate test and the ultimate situation for yield optimization experience so that we can commercialize that demand, but also at the same time improve that guest experience without having to necessarily, put more people in the park in order to grow our business. So at the same time, though, I think we've really continued to invest in our intellectual property despite COVID in our parks, given that strong historical ROIC that we've had in our parks investments and the plethora of storytelling opportunities that we have across our business.
So before we delve into all that,
this is simulcasting on YouNow. If anyone wants to support over there, I appreciate it.
Is whether Disney has got the right mix of assets, and I think about, do all these assets have a purpose being together? Do you have the right amount of scale in each of them, regardless of what happens around the company in terms of consolidation or deconsolidation, as the case may be?
Yeah, we're really happy with our portfolio of assets, and then the ecosystem that commercializes those assets. Storytelling, as you know, Doug, is at the heart of everything that we do. And again, we have that enviable group of brands and franchises that I think is really the envy of the entire industry. So let's witness the last couple of weeks, because an example may be the best way to to talk about this. First, we opened up Avengers Campus at Disneyland Resort, and that's gone spectacularly well. And then we've premiered Loki on Disney Plus. And, both of those are obviously being part of the Marvel ecosystem. And I think that just shows how across different businesses, across times, and across geography, we can use the strength of our franchises across these distribution assets and really make the best out of it. And then we have the opportunity to do that on a global scale more than ever, not only because of the legacy distribution channels that we have, but also because of the newer direct-to-consumer distribution channels that we have across the globe. So we really think that right now we've got at least in terms of today's environment, we've got the right balance, the right scale, as you say, to really take those brands and franchises, which again is the framework underneath what supports everything at the Walt Disney Company. That's our foundation, and so we're very happy with our asset mix.
Right, that makes sense. And next, so ever since he started the brand council at Disney in the late 90s, Bob Iger talked about his desire to get closer to the consumer. That's something you've had at the parks in your time there, but the rest of the company is essentially a wholesaler until streaming launched. And so my question is, you've developed more direct relationships with more and more consumers around the world. Is that going to meaningfully influence strategy or revenue? And when would we start to see any impact at the Walt Disney Company?
Well, as you said, our parks business has had the long-standing direct relationship with our guests, and with our direct-to-consumer business, now we have the opportunity not only to grow that audience, but the frequency of engagement, and look at the touch points that we've got in order to drive, let's call it, new connections between those previously separated businesses. And you have to keep in mind that when Disney Plus really launched and started to get traction, we had to shut down our parks business. So this is really the first time we've ever been able to operate in parallel, both our parks business and our direct-to-consumer business, which is giving us the opportunity really to cross-market and those two business across lines of businesses. So we think that we've not even begun to scratch the surface, if you will, of that cross collateralization of market data and mining that in a way that's going to benefit our business and our shareholders.
You talked about the parks and where you have those direct consumer touch points. Next generation might not grow up watching the Disney Channel, might be verboten to say, but it's hard to get their eyes unglued from their screens, and they've got more viewing options than ever. How do you capture the attention and the imagination of the next generation, keep the magic of the Disney brand going? I was thinking sort of relative to the allure of the parks, but perhaps this broadens out to all of the company's products and services.
Well, keep in mind, given our new reorganization, the creatives that might make what we would have considered our great Disney Channel content in the past are now making our young family content across the entire ecosystem. So whether or not that content may appear first on Disney Channel or may appear first on Disney Plus, we still got the same talented people that are in that space, that know how to speak to that audience, that have had the tremendous legacy of success making content for that audience through Disney Channel, now are making it, regardless of distribution channel, for our Disney Plus platform. So, we always look at our businesses through two lenses, both obviously the media side and the experience side, and we get to leverage then all that great content that's been made through both of those avenues, leveraging the common brand and the common franchise affinity that we're able to do that. And because of the 4-quadrant appeal of our content, it then gives us benefits on Disney Plus, which is a 4-quadrant outlet, even more. It gives us more advantages than going to something like a Disney Channel, which would be, maybe a little bit more limited in terms of its overall appeal. So, we think that whether it's new content or library content, it really gives us the ability to take that ecosystem that we have, take the skill that we have in terms of those great creative people, and apply it in a more broad, more general sense to appeal to a wider audience.
That makes sense. And so let's keep going on the park side of that, where you personally led $20 billion of capital investments before becoming CEO. It would seem there's a lot coming up. The 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World, new cruise ships, developing Shanghai, which is still sort of relatively young, 5 years old, building out every park globally. Would you have to update us on the experiences that are sort of coming up the next 5 years, especially ones that might add to revenue capacity?
Sure. We've got ambitious plans to expand our business. I had just mentioned, Avengers Campus a second ago, and we're encouraged by the great response we have there, but we're not stopping there because, as you know,
that's where they have the $100 sandwich.
Massive transformation of our Epcot park at Walt Disney World in Orlando, and we've got a Ratatouille attraction that we're bringing in that first premiered in France. We've got a new nighttime show, Harmonious, that'll be on the water there at Epcot. And it's going to be a huge guest pleaser. And then we've got our Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind attraction, our coaster, that will give us our ability to bring that whole Marvel franchise into the park. Internationally, we're thrilled to bring Zootopia into Shanghai Disney Resort. You mentioned Shanghai. That's obviously a property that did extraordinarily well in the box office when Zootopia came out, so that'll be a big hit in Shanghai. We've got Frozen installations coming into Hong Kong, Disneyland. At Disneyland Paris, we've got the twofer of its own Avengers Campus taking off from where Anaheim has just the recent launch of Avengers Campus. And we've also got the Art of Marvel Hotel that we're installing. Tokyo Disney Resort, we've got the 8 themed port over at Tokyo Disney Seas. We've got 2 new hotels and attractions going in for Frozen, Tangled, and Peter Pan. And then we've got 3 new ships and a second island destination. So we certainly have a plethora of new things coming, and that's really mining all the work that we had done prior to the pandemic and kept working on during the pandemic, so that we would not have any sort of glitch in our supply chain of new attractions and experiences for our guests, so we can keep that growth engine of parks going.
Yeah, and now you've always been sort of excited about the outlook for parks, and you talked a little bit earlier about honing out those yield management skills during the pandemic. You talked previously about structural changes, operating costs. We also mentioned that earlier. So we had it all up: increased capacity, smarter pricing, lower cost structure. Certainly seems like parks could deliver margins looking at a few years well above its prior peak. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think we're optimistic about our margin story going forward. We expect our admissions per cap to continue to benefit from our, let's call it, data-based pricing models that we've moved to over the last couple of years, and strategically managing our attendance across different ticket types. As you know, Doug, that there's significantly different outcomes depending on what type of ticket package a guest historically has come into our parks with. And by managing that as a percentage of the whole, we have a significant opportunity to obviously improve our outcomes. And this pandemic is giving us the opportunity to completely reconsider how we do that. On the cost side, we've done things like dramatically, in the interest of sort of contactless guest experience during the COVID time, it dramatically improved our mobile ordering opportunities in the park, contactless check-in at our hotels, virtual queues. We're really using those so that it sort of releases the guest more to do things inside the park and enjoy the park, have a better experience, but also have an opportunity to experience more things. And that obviously has a revenue impact for us. And then just to manage the guest flow and the overall experience, so you can have the same number of people or more people in the park, but at the same time give them a better experience. And these are all things that, frankly, without the stoppage of COVID, we never would have had a chance to completely reset like we've done. So I think the margins have a chance to have an impactful, if you will, recovery. But long term, we're going to realize some margin benefits from sort of being able to implement all these given the COVID shutdown.
Very
all right.
term.
So still with the parks, but lastly, are consumers coming back, and how does the demand look overall?
Yeah, our forward-looking reservations are really strong at our domestic parks, and we're seeing also strong underlying demand at our Disney Cruise Line in terms of what we're seeing from consumers, and that's, by the way, despite the pause, the uncertainty about the cruise industry, and the frankly limited marketing that we've done so far. And as you know, we're going to be releasing a new ship next year called the Disney Wish, and we're seeing strong response to the inaugural season of that. So we're very encouraged by what we're seeing across those businesses. As the COVID restrictions get released and the case counts go down and governments release their constraints on us, whether they're local or federal CDC type guidelines. And we want to open up responsibly, and we want to do so in a way that's going to maintain that guest experience.
So let's shift over to content, not to date myself or perhaps you for that matter. But we first met back in sort of 2008, a while ago, when your focus was on home entertainment and driving the DVD marketplace. And one thing that really sort of sticks with me to this day, beyond your energy, was just how in tune with you were with the content being created and how aggressively you were reshaping how that content was being distributed. And so one of the big changes of your first year as CEO, we mentioned it earlier, resegmenting the company to separate content creation from distribution. So any bumps in the road implementing that new structure and all the new reporting lines on the content side of the house? And what's the experience been so far?
Despite how profound that change was for us, relative to how we operated and particularly how the industry operated, it's really gotten very strong buy-in by our execs. Obviously, a lot of socialization and collaboration went into that before we did that. But I think everyone appreciates the clarity and accountability and the fact that as we now double down on our content investment going forward, as we announced in our December investor conference, everyone appreciates the fact that they've got more time to do what they do best, given this increase in output that we have. We're ramping up in scale in this, ramping up scale in this new content, and it really enables on the other end, on the distribution end, for, let's call it an objective assessment for what's right for distribution for our company from an enterprise level, given those changing consumer preferences over time. I've always said that the ultimate acid test for this reorganization would be our first 5-year plan. Because remember, everything we've done up until now has really been a plan that was set years ago, right before this new organization was contemplated. So we were essentially living with an old plan, operating it under a new organizational model. But now with the new 5-year plan, we actually get a chance to plan from this point going forward with this new conceit and with this new structure. And I must tell you, I've been extraordinarily pleased with how well it's gone and how well everything's worked. So I think that bodes well for the future in terms of the impact of this new organizational structure on our goals to dramatically accelerate our DTC business.
Good. And I think it's 2008, but I meant 1998. I probably should have stuck with 2008. You know, can you maintain quality while increasing the pace of content manufacturing? What's your level of confidence in the upcoming slate? You had a record-setting run pre-pandemic.
Well, we certainly have a strong legacy in the past of great content driving really great business results. But I have to say that I'm encouraged going forward as well. We've always said that we're going to focus on quality over quantity and maintain that high batting average that Disney is known for, extraordinarily high batting average, in fact. I think what we're seeing is that the increase in demand is really empowering our creatives to think outside the box from maybe a more limited slate and try new different things like we've done, for example, like WandaVision or Loki, really taking a different approach that if you were more constrained to only say 3 or 4 projects a year, you might not want to give it a shot. And I think that's actually been empowering and liberating for our creatives. So it's actually worked quite well. Our creative teams are all focused on their franchise now. For example, in the past, the Marvel teams, which arguably are the best and most qualified to create Marvel content, made Marvel movies, but they didn't do Marvel television. Well, now Kevin Feige and his team are not only making Marvel movies, but they're making all the episodic Marvel content as well. And this is part of what happened in this recent reorganization, which I think makes all the sense in the world. So, and you know, with the expansion of streaming now, you know, people like Kevin get to branch out, not only in terms of the degrees of freedom that they've got in their storytelling to do things that are different, but also different mediums, different time frames, you know, 2-hour movies, 2.5-hour movies, but also, you know, episodic series that last roughly an hour. So it really is liberating for the creatives. And I think we're seeing the dividends from that.
Now, I'm not sure if this is a question or a statement, but I have an important Marvel fan asking me if you would please bring Iron Man back.
Well, tell your Marvel fan that we've got a series called Armor Wars coming up starring Don Cheadle as War Machine. And I think that will probably scratch the itch that our fans have for more Iron Man.
How much more IP is there to mine on the Marvel side? I think I recall when Disney acquired Marvel, the skeptics thought, you know, Spider-Man and the Hulk and a lot of the good stuff had been licensed. Obviously, you created massive new franchises in Guardians and Black Panther, and you got Shanghai and Eternals coming. You got new series coming to Disney Plus. What are your creative teams the most excited about?
Well, I've always learned not to underestimate our creative teams, particularly our Marvel creative teams. You know, we've got 8,000 characters that we have to mine. And you say, well, 8,000 characters, who knows what these 8,000 characters are? But remember that all of our Avengers, for example, our Avengers characters, when we made the acquisition, weren't exactly household names. You know, take Loki, for example. Loki was the most watched season premiere ever on Disney Plus during its opening week. And no one knew who Loki was. Even when we got started on this journey on Marvel, no one knew who Iron Man was, or, you know, Wanda, or Vision, or Falcon, you know, or the Winter Soldiers, Black Widow, Shang-Chi. Nobody knew who these characters were. They certainly know them now. And I think that speaks to the fact that, our creatives really can take something in this universe, in this mythology, and really bring it to life through interconnective tissue and interconnected storytelling. And so, not only are these series great, but we've got 3 feature films in the next 6 months. So I think proof is being demonstrated that as you increase output and you go deeper and deeper into mining the Marvel mythology, that it doesn't have to sort of tap itself out, because as we've been able to demonstrate, we've got great stories to tell, and we're telling great stories. And by the way, now with the Fox acquisition, we have things like Fantastic Four to add into that. So I see it's pretty much an endless opportunity for us.
So let's shift over to the distribution part of that content story. And historically, you put content out through theaters, retailers like Walmart and pay TV companies. Disney's always enjoyed leverage associated with having the importance of the company's content. Now there's connected TV platforms like Roku and Amazon and Apple and Flex forming. They want to help you get customers, which is great. How would you contrast this sort of shift in distribution with how it was before? Any concerns that they might become gatekeepers in the future and start to eat away at content economics over time? And sort of throwing it all in there, what's your vision for content distribution when you look out 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, I think the vision is really getting closer and closer to the consumers. You made a reference to,
Simpsons, Star Wars, everything. They want you to believe they created it.
When we started our direct-to-consumer initiative earlier, it's really about having a granular understanding of what the consumption patterns are, and then speaking to the consumers in a way that's going to be relevant to the content that they want specifically for themselves. And by doing so, we'll drive engagement and consumption. In terms of actually the relationship that we have with our distribution partners, the key is having a win-win, having a strong symbiotic relationship. And that's what we've got, as they really want Disney content and we bring that value to their platform. So as long as we have a symbiotic relationship where we bring something they need, we get something that we need, it's a healthy relationship. And with the wide variety of content that we have in our machine, I think we'll continue to have that very positive, very productive, very symbiotic relationship.
So let's go over to the pricing side of that.
They're going to milk the shit out of
distribution. So consumers have historically paid a premium for Disney's offering. That happens at the parks, that happens at cruises, happens at home video. Disney Plus was arguably, very, very attractive, level to spark initial demand, particularly in the United States, and the service's subscriber success has been impressive as a result. So how much value do you feel you're delivering at this point in time to consumers with this service? What's the path to right-sizing pricing over time to capture that value? And just to give the U.S. example, where you had a recent price increase of about $1, does $1 a year get you there in a reasonable enough time frame relative to the value you're delivering?
Yeah, in terms of, I guess, an objective way to look at the price-value relationship, the growth rate that we've experienced on Disney Plus sort of stands out as the headline there. But you're right, we did launch at a very attractive price-value opening point. And, the first price point or first price increase that you mentioned in first 16 months happened recently, and we've seen no significantly higher churn as a result of that. And in Europe, as a matter of fact, we took a price increase twice as high as we took domestically, more or less. And that was commensurate with the integration of the Star brand as a 6-brand tile. But our churn actually improved, right? So we took an even higher price increase and our churn improved because we added more content. And I think that investment in the content at attractive price point gets you strong retention. And strong retention obviously is one of the key factors towards overall platform growth. And but that doesn't mean that in the future, as we continue to add more and more great content, that we wouldn't necessarily reflect that in the value that we add and then price it accordingly.
I know.
So we think there's some room there as well.
Do you see the potential for Disney Plus to evolve into a platform the company can sort of leverage beyond its current, call it offering of video streaming? So, for example, do you envision including consumer products, connections to your parks, gaming, et cetera. What does Disney Plus look like to the consumer in 5 or 10 years?
Well, you know, our franchise machine is really important to us, and we're always evolving it and, you know, employing our franchises in the best way possible to benefit our business across line of business, across geography, and across time. And we believe, as I mentioned earlier, that our direct-to-consumer business will now enable sort of new connections, if you will. So what we want to do is start to marry our databases and mine those things. And frankly, we're very ambitious about our thoughts about how we can do that in ways that we've not yet been able to do it, whether it's because of COVID or because we just got through our launch. I mean, we're just now getting to the point. But keep in mind, we're still sort of in the launch phase across the world of Disney Plus, and some of the more
2 years later
ways of thinking about this so that we can manage this as an ongoing concern and do what we do best, which is to operate our businesses. You know, that we've had, you know, a great launch, but it's been under far less than ideal circumstances. Well, those more normalized circumstances are coming.
Bullshit. If the parks are closed, Disney Plus should be up.
Operate our business
dumbass
in a way that, you know, benefits the consumer and our shareholders. And we're just getting
stop making excuses.
Well, you know, and I've got, as you might imagine, a couple more follow-ups on that. Again, notwithstanding that you still have part of the world left to launch, I'm still sort of curious about the long-term strategy here. And I think from the video streaming standpoint, do you envision Disney Plus having an advertising supported entry tier, you know, around the world? Certainly audiences around the world are used to seeing the Disney Channel.
They could have, they chose not to.
Different than
what
you have in the United States.
Yeah, you know, we're always reevaluating how we go to market across the world, but we've got no such plans now to do that. We're happy with the models that we've got. But again, you know, we won't limit ourselves and say no to anything, but right now we have no such plans for that.
And the other part of that is I wanted to ask about taking the brand tiles that you have in the service to more of an a la carte format, because I think Disney is relatively unique in terms of the number of standout brands that you could even do something like that. So, you know, for example, you know, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, instead of as part of just you get all of this with the Disney Plus service, have you thought about sort of selling each of those on an a la carte basis? And the rationale would be you could expand consumer choice, you could broaden out the subscriber base and allow Disney to price and sort of resource its product based on the value of each brand, each genre, sort of more specifically in that format. And if not, do you still see this as sort of, you know, continue to offer in the United States Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Hulu on a standalone basis? Do you think it'll be all one offering at some point in time like a Netflix is today?
Yeah, you know, I think our more aggregated model right now is serving us well, and I also believe it's serving our guests well. It gives us a very nice price value, which we just talked about being so key to our ourselves, and it also gives us efficiencies versus having to, you know, market, you know, let's say if we have 5 brand tiles, 5 different offerings at the same time, that would get pretty expensive from a marketing standpoint. But again, it also has some benefits with our customers in terms of being able to give them a wide offering, because there is sort of a large overlap between people that like Marvel versus people that like Star Wars and people that like Disney. Now, the caveat there is that we already have some different models, as you know, across different markets across the world, given, you know, customers' preferences, our own assets that we've got,
because
and,
reasons,
different viewing situations and habits that our customers have. So again, we won't say no to anything.
I pray he has something.
But right now we're really happy with our more highly aggregated model that we have, both from a cost standpoint and from a market opportunity standpoint. But again, who knows, it could evolve over time as we learn more and more in different regions across the world.
All right, understood. So, you know, one question we're increasingly getting from investors is how much each company needs to invest in content to compete in streaming, and, you know, particularly with Netflix as the leader. You've talked about how important content is to driving new subscribers. You know, at the same time, the strength of your brand should give you an advantage. You know, what have you learned after 18 months in the marketplace?
Well, it all does start with the strength of our brands and those franchise and those the promise of the content to come. I mean, we've got built-in benefit. You know, once you have a brand, you have a built-in machine, you have built-in momentum, because, you know, people like Wanda, They know they're going to like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're probably going to like Loki and so on and so forth. And you build up a reputation. But, if you really think about it, in addition to that, I think what we've done is reaffirmed our strategy. And our strategy is really based on, from a content standpoint, that we're going to work globally off those 5 core brands that really do have broad appeal. We're going to emphasize more than ever our general entertainment content, both in the Star Plus, and Hulu formats. We're going to really focus in on some local content and really double down there in our international markets. And we've got the machine to do that now. And we're going to focus in on Hotstar, both from an entertainment standpoint and a sports standpoint, given its benefits in those regions. So I think what we've learned is that we're going to continue to do more of what we're doing.
And I got a few follow-ups sort of on this concept, because I think it's really intriguing. I mean, how much engagement do you need to earn the price you charge, and how do you decide, what the right amount of content is?
Right. Well, we spend a tremendous amount of time making sure that engagement
They never
is
want her
high,
talking.
and that's really what our distribution team is charged with. And part of that is about the value of any one piece of content. And if you can look at it 2 different ways, right? There's the incremental marginal benefit of a single piece of content and what that does to the service. But then there's really what it adds to the overall portfolio and incrementally to the overall service. So we really tailor our content in terms of the number of active hours that are needed to maintain healthy engagement. So you look at it individually, but you look at it holistically at the same time. And then we don't just do this, though, overall for the service. We do it overall for specific engagement groups and customer constituents within the service, so that you're building it by constituent, by type of content, both individually for that piece of content and overall for the overall service. And you try to work up, sort of the best overall scenario, if you will.
One of the things I wanted to clarify is you've said on a couple different occasions that you'll have new content on Disney Plus every week soon. Is that a new TV series or movie starting each week, or is that a new episode of a TV series or movie each week? And I'm curious because if you'll continue to do an episode at a time versus dropping an entire series at once.
Yeah, our plan is to do hit that cadence this year in terms of a new product every week. And what we mean by that is a new movie or series, meaning a new production or library ad every week. And that's not counting new episodes, if you will, but does count new seasons. So we count new seasons, we don't count new episodes in that. And something new can be a new movie or new piece of content or something new added to the library. So that's how we're defining that. And, that's the plan right now. But just like everything we've talked about, we're going to evaluate and iterate that going forward. But we've got such a great opportunity to mine our content and create new things, and have had such success at it, that our plan is to continue with that
quantity over quality,
defined by the way that we just did.
And you've emphasized Disney having a significant amount of relative, local content for its streaming service overseas. Can you offer more details on that aspect? Because you've sort of emphasized a couple times that you'll be strong there.
Yeah, we spend a tremendous amount of time now with our regional production teams, which have frankly been recently, if you will, internally grown through the help of our Fox acquisition. And they've been ramping up. They're focusing on general entertainment, obviously. That's relevant to the local region, but there's nothing to say that content that's created, say, for Latin America or created for Europe or created for Asia can have legs and, really travel sort of elsewhere. In some cases, it's looking at sports and the benefit of adding sports in some markets. And as you know, we've done that in places like Latin America. But make no mistake, our foundation is always going to be those global franchise-oriented businesses that we've been able to make the foundation of our entire company, essentially.
Yeah, and you were sort of taking me right to my next question, which was, news and sports. Others are starting to focus on those genres for their streaming services overseas. Will Disney need to invest more in content for streaming to sort of
also
maintain share of engagement over the time, or the franchises and brands you're delivering, enough to drive your services already? It's almost as if each, company is recreating their own mini pay TV bundle, and we're always struggling with how many can win in this marketplace.
Right. Well, we're going to look at those opportunities selectively. You look at our Star Plus business, which, we're launching, in Latin America on 8/31, and that's general entertainment and sports. So in that case, yes, and then you look at how deep are we going, and when we go into it, we're going big. For example, in Argentina, we're going to have 10,000 live sporting events per year in Argentina. So if we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. We're going to do it big, but it really is a market by market evaluation. And that's one of the ways that we're approaching this DTC business, is not to assume that every market's the same, or we're going to have one global approach. We're going to customize what we do by market. And if it gives us slightly different way to go to market, or look at what assets we need to get, then so be it. But we're going to do what's right for each market. And so it depends.
So continuing on sports, ESPN, so it's one of the areas I'd say of greatest uncertainty for those not investing in Disney. And, frankly, I understand that you have little incentive to discuss taking the main ESPN network to a la carte streaming until you've completed, at least the Comcast and Dish renewals and finish up a full cycle since the company started shifting direct to consumer. So I thought we'd try it this way. What would you say to those skeptics at ESPN, regarding the health of ESPN, call it sort of 5 years from now?
Well, we're committed to sports because we value live sports, which drives viewers
in
and
Disney it
interest
is
like nothing else. We all know what the statistics say about, who turns into what, and live sports always leads the way. So sports are important in terms of being able to bring in the viewers. We know ESPN's at the top of their game and the leader in live sports. And ESPN can do it across the linear methods of distribution, the digital methods of distribution, and the DTC platforms. And that linear also happens to have the benefit of providing a tremendous amount of cash flow, which is really funding the operation, not only in a post-COVID standpoint where we're trying to recover from that, but also given the extraordinary investment that we need to make in direct to consumer. So it's really providing a very strategic purpose for the organization right now. That said, that, over time, if that were to change or our reliance on that business would become lessened, that we would reevaluate our options. We always say we're going to be in a business if it increases our shareholder value, and sports is no different. So we'll reevaluate that over time, but right now it's operating very well for us and doing something that we, really need, which is generating a lot of cash for us.
So I imagine you're not going to want to put a time frame on as to when ESPN Network will shift to a la carte, though we'd certainly, welcome that today if you wanted to. But is there visibility you can offer for investors on the front end, like a period of time where it's highly unlikely and wouldn't make sense? I mean, the math seems challenging the next few years when I think about it in terms of downside risk to linear revenue versus streaming upside. Is it fair to say that ESPN a la carte's unlikely the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, I'm not going to comment on specifically when we believe that timing is going to be, but I would point to the fact that we bought flexibility into every new media rights deal that we've done in terms of sports rights, and I think you recognize that. So the speed of the transition will be dependent on the speed of the evolution of the consumer behavior. Ultimately, we will be guided by our return to shareholders. And so we believe that's best served by keeping our eye on what the consumer wants. And when full content migration to such a platform makes sense, we'll be prepared to do that.
Always.
We don't believe that time is right now, but when it is time, we'll be prepared to do that.
So looking across the linear networks in general, how did the upfront go? And what was the sales strategy? Volume versus price. We did have Jeff from NBC Universal earlier say the upfront's done for them. Fox said, well, almost done. Where's Disney at?
Well, this is our first year of consolidated sales across our entire enterprise into one ad sales group. And so for us, the results were really, really encouraging across our portfolio, I should say. We had price increases versus 19, which is, again, probably the best base year to evaluate it against, that were all significant. And our total upfront revenue was up by double digits. And I think, that's sort of a nice headline, if you will. But 40% of our sales this year were actually in streaming and digital, which I think speaks to the nature of how this business is rapidly changing.
They won't.
And obviously, we're well positioned to do that as the business continues to evolve. So
I want you to think everything's gravy.
Our sales team did an extraordinary job.
So, let's add it all up on sort of the network side of the house. Linear network business was an awfully good one for Disney the past few decades. Will the pivot to streaming allow Disney to sustain or grow its historical profitability in media, making up for linear's inevitable decline? Or is that unrealistic given the costs that come from being a streaming retailer and how competitive that will be relative to competing within, what was a pretty cozy pay TV bundle for a long time?
That would make KK look foolish, and they're not going to do that.
We believe that, we started this early enough while the,
she's going to be around a long time, and they're not going to do
that those lines, when added together, will continue to grow into the future, and we'll have a strong growth engine in media going forward. Now, as I mentioned many times, that linear business does offer us an attractive cash flow, and it funds that content generation across our ecosystem as we make that accelerated pivot to DTC and the, if you will, the hunger for new content that such a new platform sort of requires. But we've only just really begun that content rollout internationally. And I think, as we grow, we develop and control those DTC relationships, capturing a higher percentage of the economics as well. Let's never forget about the difference in, the keep rate on some of these different platforms. All platforms are not created equal, if you will. And so that gives us the opportunity to take one business, and, trade it for another that might actually, as we go direct to consumer, give us a higher capture rate, if you will. So we're just in the beginning of this journey, but we're really optimistic that the media business is going to be a growth
coming soon
for the not only the midterm, but the long term as well.
So, interesting discussion today across, all of your businesses. I wanted to leave with a final question. Will the board
she ain't going nowhere,
and what will guide that decision, Bob?
Yeah, well, that is a board decision. And as you know, they meet a couple times a year just to discuss this issue. And they'll take into account what they've taken into account in the past, which is, what's our strategic investment outlook? Where are alternative uses of capital, and what are those priorities? What's our financial leverage look like coming out of COVID? What's the operating environment look like in terms of the release of restrictions that we've got that might constrain our business going forward, or at least give us some time to actually ramp back up to full operating mode, if you will, and what's really just the overall recovery of our businesses across the entire enterprise. Our first priority, though, I can pretty much guarantee you, will be funding our DTC growth. That's going to be our first priority. And then after that, we'll look beyond that and see what our next priority is going to be in terms of that dividend. I should say that our dividends will be a part of our long-term capital allocation strategy for sure. But that's once we have a normalized operating environment. And I guess it's in the eye of the beholder as to what's a normalized operating environment, given that, we're just now in the next week coming online with our final theme park reopening in Paris, and our cruise line still not yet operating.
That's right. So with that, you nailed it on time. It's a great way to end. And Bob, look, thanks so much for the thoughts today. Thank you for all your time. Thank you for everyone listening in. And as we noted earlier, look forward to having these meetings in person rather than virtual. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
All right. I might make a video out of that. He said a few boneheaded things. Oh, boy. Too many Bobs. Yes. Well, nothing too great. However, he did have the nerve to say nobody knew Iron Man and Black Widow and all these characters before. Meanwhile, people have been buying those comic books for like 40 years. What the hell is going on at Disney? They really are clueless. They are something else, man. They swear they invented everything. Hey, what's up, Shaq? Oh, boy. Dave's not going anytime soon because everyone acts like he found a cure for cancer. Oh, yeah. Live sports, the only thing with worse and declining viewership is live sports. Yeah. Live sports are struggling because people were at the house and they realized two things. They don't need live sports and they don't need movie theaters. They're both enjoyable. It's not to say that nobody cares, but you start to realize you could do that at your house, in your boxers, having sex, eating a steak. Why go pay hundreds of dollars to, be stuffed by a bunch of people? So, ...2008, yeah. He's clueless. Being a part of the Clone Wars solidified him years ago. Yeah. Just here chilling, doing a little stream. How come I never see you on YouNow? You need to take advantage of that platform. You would be killing it right now. I don't know why you're not on there. You need to get on there and sing and do your art. You'd have a ton of fans right now. You can make money on there. You need to get on there. YouTube is much harder, and the type of audience would totally support you on YouNow. DH is for people to forget about him. Yeah, but unfortunately, they're not. They're going to remind us. KK is going to remind us of him. So, yeah. Yes. He literally said that nobody knew Iron Man and Black Widow and a few other characters. And he's like, we've really blown those characters up, and now everybody knows who they are because of us, Disney the Great. He literally had the nerve to say that bullshit. That none of us knew these characters. Unbelievable. Oh, man. Anthony, I don't dislike the NFL, but I prefer football, not American handball. The NFL is Anakin not turn to the dark side and keep training Ahsoka than have the original trilogy happen. Yeah. Yep. Sure did. He had the nerve to say that nobody knew who these Marvel characters were until Disney came along. I'm going to make a video because that's too good. I'm going to have to make a little clip video. It'll be a short, 2-minute thing, but I'm going to have to do it because it's ridiculous that he said that crap. Yeah, just do half an hour stream. You can get on there every day for half an hour. Couple times a week. I'm just saying for you. Doesn't do anything for me. But for your type of stuff, that singing and art stuff, holy shit, girl, you will get so much attention over there. They love that stuff. Me, I'm here lecturing and teaching, and I'm sharing my streams, but you just hanging out, talking, just like you would do your streams on YouTube. You will get so much more attention on YouNow. Now, I'm not telling you not to do YouTube. You can multicast, but just saying, You will get a lot farther on YouNow, especially you. A girl, art, singing. You'll kill it over there, Shaq. There would be no point to even have the OT. Yes, he sure did say that crap. Yeah, he did bring balance. He not only fathered the twins, but he killed Palpatine. He did bring balance in. He completed the prophecy. Just in a crazy different way. Chapek says zombie. Yes. And I think you meant zombie and not zombie. Same difference. Spider-Man until Spider-Man Homecoming. Me, who was born the same year Spider-Man 2 came out. Bro. Yes. I've spoken to him a little bit on Twitter myself. He seems nice enough. I think Dave's days of fame are coming to a close. People only have fond memories from Clone Wars, not Rebels, Resistance, or Bad Batch. Soon the negatives will outweigh the positives. I think so. I hope so. I hope people start to see. Then again, I hate to say it, but Star Wars Theory just did a review on the last episode of Bad Batch, and he said it was 10 out of 10. I don't understand. I don't get that kid. And there's a lot of sheeple like him. So I don't know what to tell you guys. 10 out of 10. That episode was a total mess. That kid is clueless as to what canon or Star Wars is. Unbelievable. Biggest channel, one of the biggest channels on YouTube, and has no idea. Star Wars rumor and fan channels are going to tear that Disney live stream to bits. Yeah. People literally think you need Rebels on Star Wars, or so Star Wars can make sense. I've seen all 4 seasons. You're not missing out on anything. No, it makes it all a mess. Yeah, trust me when I tell you, that audience over there will embrace you. You need to take advantage of that. You can grow a lot faster, and you can make money over there. You have to build it up. I'm not saying tomorrow you're going to make money. But what I'm saying is you have a lot of opportunity over there, much faster than YouTube. I'm not telling you to abandon YouTube. Just saying. City Slickers was a far more superior film than any other sequel trash. Absolutely. City Slickers was a cool movie. What was that little Norman? Was it Norman? The little cow? He was born the year Spidey 2 came out. Feeling old, yes. You know, about that Marvel's What If series, I feel like Star Wars Theory would do an entire show dedicated to that if Disney hired him. Actually, why would he want to work for them when they mocked him? Yeah. But you know what's funny? And he once said, well, if they tried to hire me, I wouldn't because I make too much money. I guarantee you, if Disney came to him, Dave Filoni was like, dude, come on. He would go like that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Yeah, well. I think the proof's in the pudding. People seriously believe. I think he's a nice kid. I don't want to say that he's a moron because as a person, I think he's okay. But boy, is he clueless about Star Wars. Holy shit. People seriously believe you need Rebels to know who Jabba the Hutt is. Jabba's not even in the show. Imagine if Disney got a hold of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Be prepared because they might. They're going to try to buy up everything they can. I remember seeing a part of the stream with Star Wars Theory and his friend saying they want Vader and Mace Windu to fight. Yes. They even said they don't care if it contradicts the lore. It's like I've said a long time ago, guys, and it's not just him. Most people don't really care about Star Wars, weren't really Star Wars fans, because you would never want to contradict the story. That's blasphemy. Just because it would be cool. Pew, pew. Oh, look, Vader and Mace. That would be awesome, dude. It's like another video I saw. Kylo Ren versus Darth Vader. How fucking stupid are you? Holy shit. Talk about Indiana Jones director blowing up. Yeah, I didn't talk about it. I know about it. I didn't like study and look at all the details, and I don't care much about it anyways, but yeah, for those that don't know, Mangold like got upset because people were criticizing, hey, you know, Harrison Ford is like 80 years old and the shit looks dumb. And he was like, did you read the fucking script? And you all are this and that. And he got all angry and like all the Lucasfilm employees publicly attacking the fans. And it's not even like us fans like get on their stuff and cuss them out. We just say, hey, look, we have concerns. We, the fans, know these franchises and we have concerns. And they immediately, Lucasfilm just feels the need to, you know, call us names, cuss us out, tell us we're stupid, we don't know what we're talking about. You should never, ever talk to your customers that way. Never. You should say, hey, please give us a chance. Please trust us. We care about the franchise. Whatever. You know, but you should never react like negatively and be attacking your fans. It's insanity. Yeah, they're dumb. Mangold. 1 through 6 to understand Star Wars before anything else. Everything else is an add-on. Yes. Mace first. Vader, even if it breaks lore. Wow. Rey and has a better story arc than her. Yeah. Norman, yes. Yeah, he is. He's the biggest Disney Star Wars channel. Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's why he wants that, is because he's making his little episode 2 thing, whatever, and that's why he wants that, because he's desperate to have validation, especially from Lucasfilm. The people that copyright struck his first fan film, he's such a dummy, my lord. But he's a simp. That's what he is, and that's what happens when you simp. You do ridiculous stuff. You just literally do whatever just to try to get attention, just try to be accepted. It's like a girl, he's desperate to get her attention and she just won't give it to him. It's called having integrity. It's called having morals. Don't mind making a few videos on theories, but when the entire channel is dedicated to nothing but theories on one franchise, yes, and contradicting the actual franchise, that's my thing. It's, dude, at the end of the day, I'm, you know me, guys, I'm here for Star Wars facts. But okay, you want to do theories, fine. You want to do rumors, fine. But when you're contradicting and shitting on the actual movies, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, people say stuff about Doomcock, but all he's doing is reporting rumors. At the end of the day, you can't get angry with him. He's just passing on news. But he's not, like, disregarding or disrespecting the franchise. There's a big difference. The other day, fans would never get behind April being the leader of the Turtles. Fuck that shit, by the way. Yeah, that's what I hear. I haven't seen it, but... Spider-Man 3 on TV, the scene with Sandman is the sewer, still with me to this day. I like Sandman in that. I like that movie with Sandman, and Venom was in it, wasn't he? Where Spidey has the black suit momentarily. I actually like that. I'm not saying it was like, oh my god, amazing, but I like that movie. Sandman was all right with me. I mean, George did give Sam his request that May survive, but in my mind, did give Sam his request that May survived, but in my mind, if Mace did survive canonically, he would have been killed by Vader and the Empire at some point. When did George never gave him any request that May survive? That's not true. Where are you getting that from? He died in episode 2 or 3. So young, and I was like, and Disney acts like the movies are the only reason why I know that stuff. Yeah. Seeing Vader and Mace fight is a possibility. Of course, I'm pretty sure Lucas just told Sam Mace was alive to satisfy his opinion. Where are you getting that from? Not impressed. I didn't think it was very good. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it's not saying there's a lot of really bad fan films, but it really wasn't that good. I wasn't impressed. And he paid $100,000 for that. There's much better ones that were made for $5,000. It's not that good. James found the thing is, people get excited. Oh, look, it's Darth Vader again. It's a Palpatine. You know, people don't think of like what it means. They just look at it like, oh, look, lightsabers. Ooh. It really wasn't that good. Just found out that they're rebooting Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Oh boy. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if Disney actually brought Windu back. It was one of the latest Disney streams. They had Mace Windu picture with all the future shows they're planning. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. It wouldn't surprise me if Dave Dildoni. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. But he died. That's canon. Yeah. Yeah. He is at this point. He just makes nonsense. Bully McGuire. Gonna show up in the Bad Batch. It wouldn't surprise me if he... It would surprise me if he doesn't. The thing is, he can't. I mean, Dave probably will, but he can't because, again, he died in freaking Order 66. Now, will Filoni bring him back and he's all scarred up and missing a hand and all that dumb shit? Well, wouldn't surprise me either. When the Bad Batch will become woke. I thought it already did. Said at Star Wars Celebration that he wanted Mace to live and wasn't satisfied with the death of the character. So when he asked George, he told him they survived. Okay. I figured that's what you're referring to. Number one, that was Samuel, not George. George is the only one that makes any canon. Number one. Okay, that's like people that say to me, but Dave Filoni said, I don't give a fuck what Dave Filoni said. Samuel L. said that, not George. So number one, out the window. That's trash. Number two, George might have said that to him loosely, like, yeah, okay, dude, just to keep him complacent. Okay, yeah, you survived, even though we all saw you lose your hand, get electrocuted, tossed out a window, and went down 5,000 levels of fucking Coruscant. Come on. That was just him saying, okay, fine, you survived. It'll make you feel better. You can't go by what somebody said that somebody said. If you guys pay attention, when I do my streams, I show you stuff that George said. Not what that guy said about this guy that George said. Because Filoni has said a lot of things that George said. And we see that he does whatever. So, no. I know what you're talking about, but I wouldn't take that. And not to mention, it's like I always say, that's a personal conversation behind the scenes. That has nothing to do with canon. What we saw was he died. That's it. And unless George Lucas comes out and says, oh, well, you know, we'll bring him back this way, or he should have lived this way. His intention was very clear. He got freaking cooked, and he's dead. That's the Disney way. Oh, well, but Palpatine, you know, he ejected from his body at the last time. Anthony, if you're still around, it's Not My Star Wars. And up at the top is the little YouTube symbol. You can just click it. It'll take you to. I think you left, but in case you are around. It's tricky keeping track of both chats. Don't believe that for a heartbeat, dude. And I know that Theory and others get excited, but, you know, he could have survived. Be real. Disney fans just like pretty colors. They don't know what story is. Nope, sure don't. He even smiled and hinted at Disney bringing his character back. Yeah, Disney. We're way out of canon. We're way out of Star Wars at this point. So I'm sure they probably will bring him back, but that doesn't mean that he actually survived. That's Dildoni. That's Dave Dildoni. Yeah, he totally died. He's done. Samuel, yeah, he's desperate too. And I don't blame him. And I love Mace Windu. It's not like I don't want him to be alive, but we saw him die, for Christ's sake. And furthermore, it's how many times have I told you guys, what is Star Wars? Where is the magic of Star Wars? Stakes and emotions. That's everything. That's what Star Wars is. And unless you have those, then you're not going to have that Star Wars magic. And bringing back Mace, here we go again, no stakes. Palpatine coming back, no stakes. There's no point to any of it then. Why do you care about Mace Windu if he's just going to come back and come back and come back, and Palpatine has 80 clones and you don't care anymore? The reason Mace is a badass is because, one, he was a badass, but because he died. Same thing with Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon, you care because he died. If he just keeps coming back, if they just force healed him, who the hell's going to care? They're going to make it about Omega and say she's the second bestest ever. She might end up being the first bestest ever. And who knows? Maybe she'll bring back Mace. No, technically no, not Boba Fett. Boba Fett wasn't injured, wasn't shot, wasn't burned, wasn't electrocuted, didn't lose any limbs. He just rolled into the Sarlacc pit. And by the way, I have some news that I'm going to share with you in just a second. Boba Fett was never, you could never confirm that he died because all you saw was him roll into the pit. There wasn't an explosion. There wasn't blood. He didn't lose anything. He wasn't injured. So Boba Fett, you can't say that. Mace had his hand cut off, was electrocuted, got thrown through a window, and went 5,000 stories down, 5,000 levels down. It's different. Darth Maul was cut in half. You saw red on the screen, and he tumbled down a freaking shaft. That's different. Boba Fett, you cannot say that he died. I know that that was the intention, and I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that there's nothing to say, well, yes, he had to have died. No. Whereas Mace, Maul, and others, yes, it's very obvious they died. When Disney buys Universal, man, I don't know what it is. My eyelash is like sticking or something. It's bugging the crap out of me. When Disney buys Universal, because they will one day, they're going to say people like dinosaurs because they rebooted Jurassic Park. Absolutely, they will. It should just be called Omega and the Bad Batch. At this point, has more screen time than the others. Yes, it should be called Omega's Bad Batch. What I was thinking, I figured George told Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, exactly. And that's a behind closed doors conversation. And Samuel brought it out in the public to get you hyped, to put pressure on Disney. Like, see, George said, you got to bring me back. Meanwhile, if you ask George, I guarantee he'd be like, dude, he died. We saw it in the movie. It's like Maul, cut in half, intestines and bladder fall out, hit the ground hundreds of feet below, yet somehow he survives. That's Dave Filoni. Either that or that they wanted the idea of dinosaurs, yes. I didn't like the way Dooku and Vader died, but I'm not going to sit on my duff and complain about it. Correct. There's a reason. And at the end of the day, Dooku dying is important, guys. It's one of the most important events. It shows that Palpatine don't give a fuck. The second that he was replacing Anakin. That's why he looks at him like that is such an important moment in Star Wars. And Dooku is not just some fool. He's a badass. People are like, I hate him. He sucks. Yeah, because you don't get it, because you never understood Star Wars. He's a badass. He's a massively powerful fucking Sith. And he gets taken out, loses his hands, and executed. And that's exactly why he looks at Palpatine that way, because the point was him and Palpatine were supposed to rule the galaxy, so he thought. It is very important. Do you think after they stopped making the clones that they kept what clones were left until they died? That I don't know. We would have to ask George, but I can tell you in lore, Palpatine very actively destroyed the clones, just like the droid army. He wanted all that crap out, all evidence, all of it out. George said he was dead. Who, Boba Fett? He said, if I would have known he was going to be so if he was going to be so beloved, I think he said, or that fans were going to like him so much, that I would have gave him a more glorious death. I'm not arguing that. But at the end of the day, it's one thing for Mace to go out the window without a hand, shocked, electrocuted, and go down 5 levels, and George to come back and be like, oh, well, I'll just change that and bring him alive. It's another thing for Boba Fett to just roll into a pit and George be like, oh, he just flew out. That's the point. And again, you cannot go by what George says in the background. People make that mistake. You cannot do that. That's not canon. Canon is the 6 films you see on the screen. And on the screen, we see Maul and Mace get devastated. They ain't surviving. Boba Fett just rolled into a pit. That's canon. And as far as canon, unless George alters that in the films, so I'm not saying that he didn't die. All I'm saying is that if he were to fly right out, it wouldn't be like, oh my God, impossible. For Mace to all of a sudden be back alive is nonsense. Canon. Forget about what George said behind the scenes. Many things are said behind the scenes and are on notes and are in books, and that's all irrelevant. What matters is the canon on the screen. You have no business seeing what's behind the scenes. Me, like you, like to see that shit. Yes, we do get our hands on some of that stuff and check it out, but at the end of the day, that's irrelevant. Canon, what is on the screen, is the only thing that counts. So you can't argue that Maul and Mace got rocked. You can argue that, well, Boba Fett just rolled into a pit. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not saying that he has to survive or that he did survive. All I'm saying is, canon-wise, Boba Fett could very easily get out of there. Mace falling 5,000 levels down Coruscant, yeah, he's dead. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't matter what George said behind the scenes. Not to mention, he said it very loosely. He said, well, I would have given him a better death. He never said, no, absolutely, Boba Fett had to die because of this. He's done. No, he just said, well, I goofed. Believe me, I know. I've known about that since 1980. I know. But canon dictates what you see on the screen. And per what you see in canon, there's no confirmation of his death. Palpatine going down the shaft. Palpatine electrocuting himself. Falling down the shaft, just the fall would kill him. So there's 2 deaths. 3, the explosion in the reactor. And then 4, like 2 minutes later, the Death Star explodes. He dies 4 times in like 3 minutes. That you can't argue. I just know Omega's force sensitive and Ahsoka will make an appearance. Oh, Ahsoka's coming. Ahsoka is coming. Don't hear Mace screaming when he falls. No, he's dead. He's done. Omega's. This is the thing, because people want him alive because they liked him so much. They're going to find every excuse. But we didn't see. But no, you did see. He loses his hand. He's in shock, not only because of what Anakin did, but he's literally shocked. Gets tossed out the window, not by the Force, not falls out. He gets electric thrown out the window. You can see him like zzz, going out in the air. Then he falls 5,000 levels. And on the way, he probably got hit by 69 cars. Boom, 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 boom. Things flying by. He's dead. He's so fucking dead. He's probably in pieces. And then by the time he hits the ground or a vehicle, he's just squished. He's done. He's gone. Omega's force sensitive when she said Rex. That has nothing to do with her being force sensitive. She knows the clones. Of course she would know he's a phase 1. That has nothing to do with the Force. She said she knew because he looks older. Yeah, well, she sees the lines in his plus his suit. There is a distinction in the Phase 1 and Phase 2 troop clone suits. she didn't wave her hand, no. Or at least we don't know. Maybe she did something down here. She did a Darth Jar Jar. George would be honest, no hold bars. Oh, man, I wish I could get him to. I think he means in general. I think I heard Cody stayed until he died in combat or old age. I think I heard Cody stayed until he died in combat or old age. Heard what? In the show? No, I watched it a couple times. I don't think so. I mean, it's not impossible that I missed that, but I don't think so. Raise hand. Yeah, what's up, Wes? Is not only a stately gentleman, but a Sith. He's top tier. Yeah, Dooku was badass. More glorious death. Before died in Return of the Jedi. Yeah, he would have given him a more glorious death. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that he has to be alive or that he is alive. All I'm saying is, canon-wise, regardless of what George said behind the scenes, when you look at the film, which is what truly matters, here's the thing. It's not that contradicts George. Because George, had he made 7, 8, and 9, there's a good chance he'd say, I can bring Boba back. You didn't see him die. He just rolled into a pit. Naturally, the best bounty hunter in the galaxy would come out, so I can easily do that. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not saying that he would, or that he should, or that he intended that. No, he meant to kill Boba Fett. In fact, that's why Boba Fett is the clones, because to reconcile everybody loved Boba Fett, he's like, all right, well, what I'll do is I'll make up Django. Django exists because of Boba Fett's death. He said, I'll make Django, and that's how we get Boba and all the clones. Remember, anybody that likes clones, the Clone Wars cartoons, Bad Batch, any of that, that's Boba. All of it. It's Boba Fett. You owe Boba Fett. So that's George Lucas did that because Boba died. I'm not arguing that. To be clear, all I'm telling you is that canon means that George could have 5, 10, 20 years later said, you know what? I can make it fit quite perfectly in canon that Boba Fett climbed out, got spit out, flew out, whatever. Then it would make sense. Mace Windu landed on a flying car and rode to safety. Yeah. Good to see you. Why did Rex instantly call Palpatine Lord Sidious? They all said, yes, my lord. Dave Dildoni. I don't know. Canon, whatever. Canon, whatever. The Grand Canyon, that's a 1983. 1983. Oh, because I said I'd known that since, 1983. I might have said 1980. You know what I meant. 1983. I was just thinking 1980 because that's when I know Boba. Well, I actually know Boba from 78, but yeah, 83. Mace on his way down broke his fall by doing video game style wall jumps to safety. Yes. Have you ever seen Mirror's Edge? There you go. That was Mace's Edge. Horrible with Palpatine, yes. If I remember correctly, a comic was made about Boba Fett actually climbing out. Yes, there's several stories. One he jetpacks, one he climbs out. Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm going to share something with you guys in just a second here when I catch up with the chat, which I'm about to. I remember playing Jedi Fallen Order. You're a Padawan, and I think clones give you a high five, and that feels depressing as hell because right after they try to kill you. Fifth, in the impossible scenario that he did survive, all that he'd suffocate in space. What's the Disney version of how he survived? I'm not sure what you mean. Please clarify. Who? Survive, suffocate in space? Who do you mean? I'm lost there. Boba? I'm not sure what you mean there. Or is that something from the Fallen Order game? Because I haven't played that. Omega's pet bitch, yes. On the Spanish version, episode 3, you can hear Mace screaming while falling. Oh, that's funny. I mean, Mace was a tragic consequence for Anakin's actions. If he did live, it would not feel as impactful when Anakin yells, "What have I done?" Exactly. Stakes and emotions. There's a point to Mace Windu dying, the betrayal, and that Anakin goes full on. Now, according to George Lucas, his beginning to turn to the Sith is officially beginning in the opera. That's when his true fall starts to begin, is in the opera. Not when he kills the Tuskens and not any of the other stuff. When he's in the opera with Palpatine is when he begins to fall. That's when he gets his claws in. But what solidifies him, literally, I'm a Sith? Killing Mace Windu. Not injuring him, not detaining him, not deterring him, but full out, you've committed. You've killed a Master Jedi. Exactly. Mace Windu is dead. Get over it. Disney has a better chance of pulling off an obvious prequel series with Mace or prequel film. Yeah. That, I mean, they could do. But trying to keep him alive is just nonsense. After gaining back full awareness mid-electric blast throw, pulls a grappling hook out of his Jedi belt and grapples to safety. Yes. You're right. Omega sees that Rex is phase 1. Twitter. Is she going to become a Jedi? He won't. Disney has been ignoring the prequels since they bought the franchise. Yeah, well, but they might get desperate. That would be a perfect way to continue his life. Then he flees to Earth and becomes Nick Fury. There you go. They'll do a Marvel Star Wars mashup. The Spanish League on the Region 1 DVD or the Spanish language on the Region 1 DVD or the Spanish DVD. I'm trying to remember. I think he does say, oh. I think he does say something, but I'd have to look. By the way, I agree with you. I'm just saying that Disney's desperate, and they have shown that they will do anything. Like claim they made all these Marvel characters popular. So that's all I'm saying is that, Jedi in the streets, Sith in the sheets. Yes. I didn't know that other people knew that. I've been saying that for decades, my lord. That's the best type of woman, a Jedi in the street and Sith in the sheets. Nick Fury retires to become Ray Arnold. Shame because there's so much money that could be made from doing a miniseries with Anakin and Obi-Wan between 1 and 2. Get Hayden and Ewan and DH them. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff they could do. So much stuff they could do. What clone trooper armor do you think is better? Phase 1, Phase 2? I think Phase 2 armor. I always like Phase 2 myself. I like all of the clone stuff. I loved all their suits and stuff. I really like Cody's helmet. But I like the Phase 2s, yes. Let's nuke the Grand Canyon because why not? Why not? My lord, yes, he does. See, but in Coruscant, they have a fall insurance company that deploys droids to catch falling beings. All Jedis have this service for free, and this is how Mace survived. I see. I had forgotten about that. You are correct. Yep, Mace clearly is alive. Nuke from orbit is the only way to be sure. All right, I'll stop with the Mace. No, it's awesome. It's great because you're making like really funny good ones. But he doesn't call him Sidious, right? Imagine people saying Isla Zakariel is alive even though we saw her get shot. That's basically what Disney does because, nobody's ever really gone. Palpatine surviving the fall from episode 6. You listed 4 reasons. Why wouldn't you survive? And I gave a 5th because ignoring all of that, he'd suffocate. Ah, okay. Now I got you. I was like, what? I got you. Now I understand. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. You are correct. I'm talking about and thinking about so many things. I didn't make the connection of it was Palpatine. You are correct. You know, to be honest, I never have liked Mace. I feel he held Anakin back because he was jealous of Anakin. I think all the Jedi did. They were just, I think, Shaq, sometimes you have to remember, and it's not to call you or any of you naive, but you're a good example. You're about half my age. So sometimes us older, wiser people tell you, no, don't do that. And you're like, but I know, I can do it. I know. And you're not realizing that, no, we know that you can't. And we know the reasons why. Just because we're not telling you why doesn't mean you have to contradict us. Sometimes it's better to just listen and take what we tell you and trust. And until you build that trust, you're not going to know the reason. That's kind of the point and trial of the Jedi in life. All masters do this. If a master has to sit here and explain everything to you, then you're probably not a worthy student. The point is that you need to learn to trust, and trust in the Force, trust in your teachers, trust in your masters, etc. So Mace wasn't the only one. Obi-Wan, Yoda, all of them were holding him back because they know if he goes too far, too fast, he's going to fall. He's the most important, most sensitive, the most likely to be seduced. Not only because he's in a safe situation to be seduced, but also evil is going to come after him harder than anyone else. He is the chosen one. So I wouldn't say that Mace held him back and it was jealousy or anything like that. It's because Mace is a grand master. Well, not a grand master, but a master. And, you know, he knows. Just because Mace's style was to be a little bit offstandish and, you know, but he knows. He doesn't consult with Yoda because he's just some fool. He's not in the position that he's in because he's just some hard-headed, jealous fool. You understand? All of them know. They also are all 2-3 times older than Anakin. So sometimes you youth think you guys know, and no, you don't. Because I did what you're just now trying to do 20, 30 years ago. And it's not to belittle anyone. It's just that that's life, that you don't realize or have perspective or experience things until you go through things in life. And sometimes youth forgets that someone older been there and done that. So it's not that we or Mace or I or anybody's trying to hold you back or belittle you. It's just that we know better. And sometimes it's better to trust instead of trying to prove you know better. Because guess what happens when youth thinks and tries to prove they know better? 99.99999% of the time, it goes really bad for everybody. So I wouldn't take it like that. Now, again, you view things how you view. I'm not trying to like make you think a certain way. I'm just saying from a wisdom perspective, don't look at it that way, because that's Mace wasn't holding him back to be jealous or to be mean or anything like that. It's because Mace knows. Mace is the one Jedi that, well, this is lore, but you know, the one Jedi that can do the vapid lightsaber skill and style. And to do that, you have to basically tap into the dark side. If you're anyone but Mace, you're going to fall. So Mace knows. I wonder what the armor would have looked like if there was a phase 3. But we know Palpatine wasn't planning on there being phase 3, so it doesn't really matter, no. I guess you could kind of say the Bad Batch is a phase 3, I guess. Spanish dub, he says, like, oh. Can we quote you on that? Is that how he sounds? Oh, ah. I've been thinking of that as well. In the Force Unleashed games, there's concept art for yeah. Chapek says they made those Marvel characters popular would be one thing, but saying nobody knew those characters were until Disney is freaking hilarious. This guy is clown shoes. Yes, and that's what he said. Ray's hand will be the Grand Canyon's place. Yes. The term nobody's ever really gone would work when it comes to the Force, but for Disney, they'll pull anyone from the grave. Yep. Exactly. Anakin, you're a chosen one. Episode 9. Let me introduce myself. I used to think Mace was jealous of Anakin, but in those days, I used to think Anakin was right and the Jedi were a bit unfair. But over time, I see Anakin was not being true. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people say that it's the Jedi's fault. They didn't care. They treated him badly, and they didn't. No, it's all Anakin's fault. I'm sorry to tell you, from a wisdom from a teacher, it's Anakin's fault because they told him many times, "Don't get attached. Don't do this. Anakin, be patient. Anakin, take your time." And what was he doing? Jumping off of shit and jumping in and doing his shit headstrong and head first, charging them like a bull just because he thought, I'm the chosen one and I'm better than everybody. It's Anakin's fault. He chose to do the things that he did. The only thing that I really justify, and it's not that I justify it, but I can kind of ride with it, is that the Sand People kidnapped, tortured, and killed his mom. Yeah, guess what? I'd fuck up all those Sand People too. I would burn down that whole freaking. In fact, I would probably go village to village and start fucking Sand People up for a whole night. But outside of that, he made bad decisions based on ego, arrogance, selfishness. I totally understand reacting to something like the Sand People, but when you're on your own doing dumb shit, it was Anakin's fault, not the Jedi. Did Anakin ever come to Yoda, Obi-Wan, Mace, and say, "Hey, I'm having these feelings. Hey, I'm gonna lose Padme. Hey, I got married like a dumbass, and now I don't know what to do." Did he ever trust in his masters? No. So therefore, it's Anakin's fault, not his masters. People always say it's never the student's fault, it's always the master. No, that's not true. Generally, most of the time, yeah, okay, I can ride with that. But it's not always. Often, students fail their masters, and more so, fail themselves. It's Anakin's fault. Not jealousy, not trying to hold him back. Or if they hold him back, it's because they know it's for his own good and for the council and the galaxy's good, not because they just want to hold him back or because he's younger. Remember, Anakin's not a little boy either. I mean, he was when he first came at 10 years old. But by the time he really starts having problems, he's 21. I mean, come on, dude, grow up. You've given the opportunity of the lifetime. You're in the freaking Jedi temple with some of the greatest Jedi of all history. You get appointed to the council, and you're bitching. You got a dope-ass wife. You got 2 kids coming, or at least a child coming. I mean, you should be so happy and thankful for everything you have, and you're out here fucking up and wanting more and more and more. It's Anakin's fault, not the Jedi. Anakin failed himself and the galaxy, not the Jedi. He's the chosen one. He failed everyone, not the Jedi. The Jedi gave him direction, sense, skills, training, a home, love, friendships. It's Anakin's fault, not the Jedi. I don't think Mace was jealous of Anakin. I think it's more so in his personality. Yes, exactly. And follows the Jedi code to the extreme. And Anakin was very unorthodox, and the Jedi could sense dark. Yes, and also Anakin is young, dumb, and full of calm. You ever heard that? Well, that was Anakin. Thinking he's so fucking hotshot. Instead of listening to Grandmaster Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and not to mention all the others, Ki-Adi, and all these other great Jedi that are around him. Thinking he's so much smarter, so much better. 20 years old, hasn't even read all the holocrons and experienced all kinds of things. He thinks he's so ahead and knows everything. And meanwhile, he has decades and decades and decades of shit to learn. Yoda, 800 plus years old, and Anakin had the nerve to think he knew that he was above everybody and that he could rival Yoda in lightsaber skills. If Anakin, why did Yoda go face Palpatine? Because Obi-Wan wasn't powerful enough to face Palpatine. Because otherwise, he would have just gone after Anakin. And if Yoda would have gone after Anakin, that's game over. Anakin would have gotten fucking rocked. Even old-ass Yoda would have rocked the shit out of Anakin. Darth Vader goes on to become very powerful, but that's down the road, guys. If in episode 3, Sith, right when he turns, Yoda had gone to Mustafar, Anakin's done. Rocked. But he had to go deal with Palpatine because Obi-Wan was not ready to deal with Palpatine. But he also didn't send Obi-Wan to face Anakin knowing that he couldn't handle it. You understand? So it's a good thing Yoda didn't go after Anakin, because Anakin would have got him fucking served. He already got served by Obi-Wan. Imagine my Grandmaster Yoda. Holy fuck, he would have crushed him. He could choose not to listen to them. That's why he was held back. He didn't take the lessons and had an ego, was quick to emotions. They were wise to hold him back. Yeah. But on this, understand, also, yes, I'm not saying they didn't hold him back at all, but it was more so like them cautioning him, them giving him advice and saying, slow down, little pup, chill out, grow. It's not like they were physically holding him down, right? Like, no, you can't train, you can't do. On the contrary, they were always open to teach him. And it's not their fault a whole Clone War broke out, and but if Anakin was smart, he would have taken advantage of that and accelerated and learned. And instead, he's like, oh, I'm the man. So I'm not saying they didn't hold him back at all, but it wasn't so much that they were holding him back. They were just maybe not giving as much or being as open as they could be, because they knew the danger. These are wise people. They're not the masters on the Jedi Council because they're just, nobodies. Yeah. No wonder why characters faked their deaths 8 times in The Rise of Skywalker. Mace wasn't jealous. He was just strict, especially when training a boy with attachments. Correct. Mace, like the rest, were concerned for Anakin's well-being. Yes. And Mace even says, if this is true, when he tells him about Palpatine, then you will have gained my trust. It's not like Mace doesn't like the kid. It's not like Mace doesn't want to. He just has to be cautious. If you were a 40, 50-year-old master, are you just going to trust some 20-year-old kid that comes along and is like, hey, I'm the best. You got to let me do everything and have everything. Give me access to everything. No, of course not. You're going to be like, you got to earn this shit. You got to gain trust. You got to show us that you're worthy and trustworthy of being in this position, naturally. Which ultimately, yes, is protecting Anakin. That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier, Shaq, is sometimes youth doesn't understand that we don't, parents, teachers, masters, we don't hold you back or keep things from you to be mean or keep things from you. It's because we know that we're protecting you from yourself, from the world, because we know what the world is better than you do. Why? Because we've been around 2-3 times longer than you have. So we know better about what the world is. No matter what you saw on TV or how many books you read, or you think you're so smart, you're a child prodigy, you still don't know the goddamn thing. That's the funniest thing, is these like 17-year-old, I went to college when I was 14, I'm so smart. And yet you don't know the first thing about how to tie your shoes, how to brush your teeth, how to speak to anybody. You'll never have a girlfriend because you are clueless of what women are, or a boyfriend, and whatever the case. These types of social and everyday life skills, you don't have them. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are or you actually are. At the end of the day, you don't know life. And that's the most important wisdom, is life, not how skilled you are in a trade or a certain thing. That's why I've told you guys in the past, the most valuable thing you can achieve or gain from in life is traveling. Forget school, forget a teacher, forget any of that. Traveling. You, whether by yourself or with friends or a group or whatever, travel as much as you can, even if it's just around your own state, even if it's just the United States. But, you know, kids learn so much going on like a Europe backpacking trip or going to Tahiti or wherever. You learn so much by seeing other people, by learning other cultures, by seeing that the world in many ways is different and in many ways is exactly the same. That's true wisdom, not what you read in a book or get a piece of paper from a university that you end up getting this degree and then you go work in something else. That's nonsense. Travel, talk to people, look at people, see how they live, see what they eat, how they do things, their culture, how they dress, how they smell, what they think. You're going to gain a lot of true knowledge that way. And the way that you gain that is one, by actually doing it, but also time. Wisdom isn't achieved by studying. Wisdom is achieved by age, by experience. That's where wisdom comes from. Because you can be book smart all day and not really know a damn thing. Whereas you could be so smart, but you can be goddamn wise. And I would take wisdom over knowledge any day. The idea is to have both. But wisdom is what's going to help you survive through life. Wisdom is what's going to help you get through things and even help others. Knowledge is just like, well, I'm great. I know how to build cell phones. Look at me. I'm so hotshot. And you might be rich, but you don't know how to do your own laundry. So what the fuck good is it? Well, I'll just pay someone. Okay, well, if that's what you value in life is just paying people to do your shit, then you haven't lived life. You've failed. Because the idea is that we experience and take care of ourselves and the people that we care about. That's wisdom. That's achievement. That's life. Not, I've got money, so I just pay people to do everything. You're not experiencing life. What's the point? You're flying around in jets and you're eating the best stuff. But if you don't know how to fry an egg, then you're kind of a worthless person. Because at the end of the day, if the electricity goes out, all the money has no value, what the hell are you going to do? You didn't learn anything. You have no life skills. If you're building your apartment building caught on fire, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Can you survive in the woods for a week, a day, a month? Nothing. Mace wanted it and he got it. Samuel L. requested it and he got it. It's not that it means anything. Now, I'm sure in some book somewhere it means this and that and the other, but it was he wanted a purple lightsaber and George gave it to him. That's what that means. It means he's a BMF and he stands out because he's Mace Windu. I know what Phase 3 armor is now. Stormtrooper armor. Phase 3 didn't need until Death Star 2 was destroyed. Yeah, I was going to say that earlier, that basically it's the Stormtroopers. You could argue the Death Troopers, the Shore Troopers, all the iterations of Stormtroopers are, right, a phase. Really didn't care, he would have become a master. Yep. Baphead is a cool concept, yeah. 23 years was Phase 3, and Palpatine wanted to last forever. Anakin, no, I'm taking him now. Charges at Dooku. Obi-Wan, Anakin, no. You see? And if Anakin would have said, yeah, you're right, bro. Not only as a Jedi, but also as you're my mentor, you're my master. If he would have fucking listened, they would have ended Dooku right there. So now you're not losing limbs. And now you've put a huge pause or made the separatists, you know, they would have taken several steps back because now they lost Dooku. Palpatine would have to reevaluate. Now what am I going to do? I now need an apprentice. Okay, look at how this unfolds. he loses Maul, which he planned on anyways. I don't think he took Maul too seriously. I mean, he figured if he did keep going and it kept excelling and was around, okay, great. He's chosen, then it makes sense for him to be his apprentice. But I think Maul was just good because he was young and aggressive and, you know, served his purpose. At the end of the day, did he really consider Maul his apprentice that was going to take charge? I don't think so. I think he was a very deadly tool. Okay, so then Dooku, somebody wise, sharp, class, cultured. Now he's got Dooku, and he's like, this guy, we can rule the galaxy. We can make some shit happen. We can manipulate people. Maul, you just go and intimidate. Dooku, you can manipulate. Very different. So look how this unravels. Obi-Wan and Anakin take out Dooku. Now the Separatists are like, oh shit. And Palpatine has no apprentice. Now he's like, oh fuck, what am I going to do now? Now all his plans are on hold. Now he has to go out and find another apprentice. What is he going to do? Change the scenario. Anakin gets fucked up. Now they're in the ship. And by killing Dooku, he's already taking steps to fall into the dark side. He has Anakin right there, his new apprentice. Get it? Whereas if he would have taken out Dooku, that whole thing of him falling would have been done with. Because Anakin would have been doing good. Anakin would have been listening. Anakin would have been staying loyal. Anakin would have been, you understand? Focused, centered. Thinking. Being unselfish. All the things that he needs to do to be a Jedi. They could have finished Dooku and changed the entire history of everything. Instead, he gets rocked. And gets put in the position where right there he takes out Dooku and there's a replacement. He's got Anakin. That moment is pivotal. A lot of my classmates are assholes. The teachers most of the time didn't do jack. Yeah, well, make them that way. Just like Scarface Tony Montana becomes the richest man in Florida, and he acts like a dick about it. Yeah, he was kind of somewhat humble in the beginning, and then he gets all blown up. Having survived his fall and realizing the Jedi are no more, somehow finds the Ki-Adi, Mundi, and Plo Koon have survived as well and reform the three-man barbershop quartet. There you go. I guess Mace is in the background saying, oh! Mace and the Jedi weren't jealous of Anakin. They strive and pride themselves in avoiding feelings like jealousy. That too, they knew and could plainly see Anakin was impulsive, headstrong, and rushed into things. Correct. That's one of the things they warn you about is jealousy. Because what does jealousy lead to? Greed. And we all know the rest, right? What happens with greed? Where does that lead? I don't have to quote it because we all know it. Exactly. Hey there. Too cool for your stream. I'm just busy and oftentimes in need of sleep. I'm totally, yeah, no, I appreciate you, man. I totally teasing you. I'm crazy busy. I want to, sometimes I really want to try to get out to you guys, but it never fails. Like I'm starting a stream or I'm in the middle of editing something and it's like, I totally understand, man. You always take care of your stuff. Always do your stuff. Don't, you can always watch a replay or there'll always be another stream, you know, don't, do your thing. Or also dead. No, man. Ki-Adi parachuted at the last moment. You just didn't see it. I'm sorry, Plo Koon. And Ki-Adi, he just laid down and was playing possum. He's all right. They survived, in theory. Who would win, Palpatine or Obi-Wan? Oh, Palpatine. That's the reason why Yoda had to go face him. Palpatine's way more powerful and much wiser. Obi-Wan is very wise, but Palpatine is much wiser. He deceived the entire Jedi Council and the Republic. He's much wiser than Obi-Wan. Now, as far as youth, well, Obi-Wan has, more legs, but Palpatine knows all the tricks. He would have rocked Obi-Wan at the end of the day. I just realized that there were 9 fake outs, not 8. There you go. While we agree Kylo Ren wasn't handled well, I like the poetry of him being based on Jason Solo, the firstborn son of Han and Leia, and any timeline is doomed to undo their hard work rebuilding. I don't think he's based on Jason Solo in any which way. And if anything, he disrespects Jason Solo. Furthermore, why not just make Jason Solo? Why would you make a Ben Solo when he's supposed to be Ben Skywalker? I don't know. I can't really agree with you on that one. I don't see where the connection of that dumbass is with Jason Solo, who was a total badass. I like the sentiment, but I don't see the connection there. The Republic. Kylo is flying his TIE fighter and chased Rey. She destroys his TIE fighter and explodes into nothing. Then Ben walks out in peace. Yep. Not burnt, not scratched. His hair is fine. His clothes aren't messed up. He's not limping. He's not like, oh, fuck. No, he's fine. Apparently, TIE fighter crashes in Disney is like no problem. We really need this technology because Finn and Poe walk away and, it's never a problem having these TIE fighter crashes. Wanted Anakin to become wise. They weren't alarmed with Anakin's actions, not even when Anakin was mad at Mace. They gave him space to grow, but he never got that. Yep. Anakin's the one that got his panties in the bunch, not the Jedi. They gave him every opportunity. Mace even says, sit down, young Padawan. Who does he say? I forget how he refers to him, but take a seat, Anakin, or whatever he says. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't like, boy, Why didn't he shoot Rey? Because, Disney. That's what he should have done. The elders know better, and yet the youth are born to surpass the old. Look no further than Luke Skywalker. Because instead of telling a good story, you have to make it look awesome. That's why Super Trilogy has better effects than the original trilogy and prequel trilogy. Disney only cares about the lightsabers and ships. Jar Jar Abrams is very good with practical effects, but awful when it comes to story. Not a single original bone in his body. Scary because he's going to be involved in the upcoming Batman show. Isn't he making Black Superman? Wisdom trumps knowledge. Tony Stark can build an AI from materials in some Hydra base, but was that a wise decision? No, not really. Practical effects. Episode 7 was like 90% CGI, while Phantom Menace was more practical. Yeah. I hated the light effect in Star Trek 09. He loves those lens flares. One can argue Mace is the first to wield the purple lightsaber, but an argument can also be made that Mara Jade is the first. She was created before Mace, even though she existed after him. Yes, as far as like fandom, Revan also has a purple lightsaber at some point. So it's, by all means. But as you know on this channel, canon. And the only as far as canon's concerned, there's only one purple lightsaber in Star Wars. That's Mace Windu. But yes, Mara, my dear favorite character, Mara, indeed had a purple lightsaber. I want to see Spock and Kirk and McCoy, but it's too damn bright to see them. I figured you were teasing. I just didn't have to have time to respond the other night when you said, oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was teasing. I know you guys, I always appreciate that you guys come by. I never expect you to drop things because of me. Again, you can always watch a replay, and even if you can only come in for 2 minutes, it's nice to see you. But I always want all of you, whatever it is, you got to go to work, you got to make a video, you got to do whatever, You can't put stuff on hold for me or whatever, or anything. I know a lot of people would like you to do that. A lot of people expect that type of thing. I don't. You always got to do your thing. Man, my eyelashes driving me crazy today. I don't know what's going on. It's like it's poking my eye or something. Ugh. I remember one time, like, I won't say who it is, but I went to a stream. I was thinking of starting a stream. It wasn't like I had a schedule, right? I was just thinking about starting a stream. And then I saw that he came on. And I was like, all right, I'll go hang out with them, and then I'll do my stream after. So I went in. I was like, hey, bro, what's up? You know, I was going to start a stream, but I saw that you came on, so I figured I'd come here first and support, and I'll do my stream later. And then he went on this whole tangent about, well, dude, you shouldn't worry about me. You should do your own thing. There's enough people out there for everybody. People, if they want to watch your stream, they will. You know, don't worry about my stream. And just went on and on. And I'm like, dude, I'm just telling you that I could have started my stream. And furthermore, my channel's bigger than yours and gets more views than you. I just was trying to be supportive, and, you know, can do my stream a little bit later. And he just made it into this whole thing. And I'm like, okay. Anyways, Dooku is the best piece of chess of Palpatine, and he sacrificed him to win the game. Correct. Yeah, he's the king. Palpatine's the queen. He was the king until, you know, Anakin, because Anakin was a young, reckless fool. Palpatine, and everybody knows this. He had the potential to be the greatest, but he never achieved that. Not as Vader, nor as Anakin. Anakin's a big old fucking failure when you really break it down. Not because of the Force, not because of his teachers. He fails himself. He's a badass in both ways, but he's nowhere near what he could have been. Anakin, at the end of the day, was pretty much a pawn. Clones tried shooting Anakin. She ducked down and seduced them to escape. I wouldn't have been able to kill her. I would have made her my slave or something. Did Revan also have a purple lightsaber? At one time, yeah. I don't know his whole canon and story, but I've seen him with, and plus people have mentioned it. Yeah. Red and purple. Characters faked their deaths, and 3 were from Kylo Ren. Yeah. Kylo Ren and Jason Solo are the firstborn sons of Han and Leia, and he falls to the dark side. That's the connection. Okay. Yeah, they gave Kylo the name Ben, but he's a poor man's Jason. Yeah, I guess. Okay, in that sense. Take a seat, young Skywalker. Yes, thank you very much. He's been, too busy for us. He's too good for us. I believe Mace tells Anakin, have a seat, young Jedi. I think you're doing speech to text. I think Base tells Anakin. Yes. I think I can do Samuel L. Jackson's voice. For some reason, when I use it, I talk like a corrupt cop. I feel like Ben had potential to focus on more of his childhood and probably establish the issues also if they didn't make him look like a clown desperate to look intimidating. Yeah. Oh, they could have done a ton. They could have made Kylo awesome. They chose to make him a little emo bitch. The one joke with him in TFA I will keep, but the ongoing jokes of him losing his shit like a Padawan doesn't work if you want him to be the next big bad. Yeah, and here's the thing. They talked about how Kylo's supposed to be the direct opposite reflection of Vader. How Vader starts reckless and becomes bad, and Kylo's supposed to be the opposite, that he was bad and then starts to fall apart. And that in itself shows how Disney regards Vader, how they understand the Vader and how they viewed Vader. Because what they showed you was Kylo Ren. That's their interpretation of Darth Vader. Goes to show you, they have no clue. If I say a two-timing gangbanger, I arrest that two-timing gangbanger, then I take that two-timing gangbanger into the woods. Do you fucking hear me? I talk in Sam's voice when I say that. Okay. Why don't you make a video? Really need that Disney breaking their own canon video. I will, I promise. Don't cry, dude. It'll be all right. Which one? The one that I said about does Disney understand Star Wars canon, or the one talking about your healing, or both? I think you're talking about the one that I'm talking about. Does Disney understand canon? The problem is that they keep fucking up every day, so it's like a constant. Seriously, there has to be at least one clone that had a crush on Isla. I know I did. Luke Skywalker sitting amongst Vader, Padme, and slave Leia says, "You're on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Skywalker." Rey responds, "That's outrageous. It's unfair." Yes. Rex is only 13 years old in the Bad Batch and looks 35. So imagine him if he was a Mandalorian. He'd be 70, 80 years old. Clone Wars break canon and Darth C video. I'm Return of the Jedi. In Return of the Jedi, he'd be dead. Oh yeah, he'd be long or like stupid old. Never mind Mandalorian, you know. Jedi, yeah, he would be really old. You want both those videos, is what you're saying? He'd be dead. Talking about Disney breaking their own canon as well. Daybreak. Okay, yeah, it's coming. I know, guys, sometimes it's like I always say, my videos aren't fast, but you know when they come, it's going to come. It's going to come with a bang. So it will be worth the wait. Just hang in there. I know. Believe me, I want to get all this stuff done too, but I've got a million things. I will say that Filoni Baloney did one thing right with his ridiculous World Between Worlds that inspired me. The method of time travel is what I intend for my story. I mean, I think that's cool for your story, but there is no time travel in Star Wars. So, no. That causes all kinds of problems. Again, stakes and emotions. If you got time travel, then nothing matters. Because now Palpatine will just travel back in time and, you know, get Anakin when he's 10 years old. Or Snoke will travel back in time and save Palpatine, and that's why he's in Rise of Skywalker, because Snoke went back in time. You know, dumb shit like that. You can't open those doors, dude. You can't have multiverse and time travel, because Disney will find a way to fuck up Star Wars. They're going to start going back and forth in time and, you know, justifying and making excuses for everything. Rey is this great because we went back in time and we actually made her out of Luke's hand. That's why she's the bestest ever. And now you can't argue it because they've justified it because they went back in time. Do not open that door. Do it in your story, but not in Star Wars. It cannot happen. You forgot. Well, as you can see, I didn't forget because I've been thinking about it. I just am busy, but I do remember. They could have made Kylo better by picking an actor that actually has a physical chin. That could have helped. Is it possible for Disney Plus to become more popular and better? No, not in a million wet dreams. Netflix has twice the size of Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus combined. Netflix, although they do dumb shit like Cuties, for the most part, respect franchise and make a lot of great content. Disney trashes all IPs, including their own. Disney Plus is only going to get so big. It's only going to be Disney fans or people that are like just desperate for some Marvel or Star Wars. It's not a family entertainment network. It's a, if you like Disney's stupidity, network. That's the difference. Netflix is much more neutral. Netflix doesn't attack their customers. Netflix doesn't, you know, destroy their own freaking properties. So, no, Disney can never hang with. Plus, Disney at the end of the day is Disney content. Netflix is all kinds of content. content. No, Disney Plus will never catch Netflix. And in fact, Disney Plus is going to cap off, which it might have already, because the last report, they only made 6 million subscribers. Whereas HBO Max and the other ones are going to keep growing and growing and growing. They're much broader audiences. Now, could Disney maybe buy out some of these? Well, that's a different conversation. But as far as Disney Plus growing, no, it's never going to get to where Netflix is, just by definition of what it is. Now, is it possible? I mean, I guess anything's possible, but realistically, no. Disney's over $50 billion in debt right now. They got bigger problems than trying to win the streaming wars. I'll be honest, the one retcon I did like with Disney Lucasfilm was Rex being in the Battle of Endor. He wasn't in the Battle of Endor. That's Dildoni nonsense. That's not Rex. Your videos are quality. Yes. Always quality over quantity. That's not Rex. That's Dave Filoni making shit up. And it's not a retcon because that doesn't... The canon is established. It's not changed. Disney's never been canon to begin with, so they can't change canon. Kylo was supposed to be... Disney can do all kinds of shit all around it. They can make all kinds of messes with their own shit. But 1 through 6 can't be altered. Not only is that in the contract when they bought Lucasfilm, but Lucas said it a long time ago. 1 through 6, the movie is complete. The saga is complete. So he sold them a dead horse. Star Wars was already done when he sold it to them. So Disney can't do stuff like, oh, that was Rex because we want it to be. No, it wasn't. Rex didn't exist, so obviously it wasn't Rex. How old is Horseface? I suppose 19 years old. Cuties is a movie that exists because people are sick. Can't argue that. These episodes of Bad Batch are so underwhelming and disappointing, yet every Star Wars channel has wet panties over these subparts. Oh my god, it's freaking nonsense. It's garbage. Star Wars Theory gave the last episode 10 out of 10. Holy shit. Wow. I will say this. I think Kylo Ren's actor Adam Driver would be great in a new Die Hard as the son of Hans Gruber. He has the Al Rickman vibe. Yeah. And he does the emo part good. He probably would be a good. Clearly, Disney is so poorly run that they tarnish even their own franchises. My stepdad and I would love to see a live-action Gargoyles, but they'll likely ruin that too. Oh, yes, they will. Rey is 19. Kylo is 90. Yeah, sure. He's 29, 30 years old. Yeah. Rey is 19. Yes. Which is not an accident. Remember, the twins are 19. Rex and Hera played a big part in the Battle of Endor. Well, then where the hell were they if they were so important? Correct. They're never referred to. They were nowhere to be seen. That's Disney's nonsense fan fiction. Rex was not in Endor. That's dumb dick Dave Filoni. That's what that is. Not Rex in Return of the Jedi, because even if Rex could live in the OT, I seriously don't think he would himself go like that. I think he'd be buffer, and his blonde hair would be gray. That's it. Yes. Listen, Attack of the Clones. He's 10 years old or 20, right? Because he's a clone. So Attack of the Clones is 22 BBY to 19 BBY. 3 years is the Clone Wars. So add 1 year to 19, so 20. 20 years till 0, Battle of Yavin. Then you add 5 years for Jedi. 5 or 4 years, sorry, 4 years. Because Empire's 3 years, Jedi's a year after, so 4 years. So that's, what did I say? 24. Now you have to double that because he grows at twice the rate. So he was 20 plus 24 years, doubled. He's like 60 some years old, guys. Was that who you saw in Endor? Again, have you watched Star Wars, Dave Filoni? Where's my pew pew? According to Disney canon, you can see Hera's ship in the Ghost. Yeah, you see it in The Rise of Skywalker. People are saying one of the rebels will be with the beard was Rex. Looks nothing like Tamora Morrison. That too. Aquaman's dad, yes. Supposedly there was some kind of injection given to the clones to halt their decelerated growth. I don't know anything about that. On the contrary, in lore, as soon as Emperor Palpatine takes over, he wipes out the clones. He wants nothing to do with clones. He gets stormtroopers immediately. He wants nothing to do with clones. So I don't know anything about it. So decelerating. Furthermore, one of the main reasons he doesn't want the clones is because they deteriorate so quickly and they're a liability. So I've never heard of that. Accelerated cloning process the Canadians did would make Rex look like Prince Philip in the OT, yet Dave Filoni thinks he could be alive in Kagan. Correct. Filoni doesn't know shit about Star Wars. No, that's absolutely correct. I'll say it again. Have you watched Star Wars, Dave Filoni? Because obviously, going by your actions, you have not. Or maybe you saw it like 40 years ago when you were a kid, because you don't know what the hell you're doing, dude. Just because you think you can make something fit doesn't mean that you should or that it does. He's a dumbass. And then everybody was like, Rex is going to be in The Mandalorian. Rex would be like 80 freaking years old in The Mandalorian. It's ridiculous. 60-something minimum. I think 63. I did the math at one point. If Rex had survived into the OT, he wouldn't have a round belly or beard. He'd look like his Clone Wars self, but bulkier and gray hair. Yeah. Clones are not stormtroopers? No. Not at all. The clones get wiped out. Furthermore, clones, if they were stormtroopers, okay, let's do some simple math. They're born 10 years before Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones is 2021 BBY. Let's just say 20. Okay, so Phantom Menace was roughly 10 years before Attack of the Clones. So like 10 years before Phantom Menace, the clones were born and started being no, I'm sorry, forgive me. Phantom Menace is when they're born. Roughly, okay? 10 years pass, Anakin is about 20, and the clones are about 10. They grow at twice the rate. So at 10 years old, like Boba, who's 10, the clones are 20, right? Because they're accelerated. At 20 in lore is when they get deployed to battle. That's why there's that key point that they show that. So if let's just round to 20 BBY, they are 20 years old. By 0, Battle of Yavin, that's 20 years, right? So 20 plus 20, that would be 40. Now, they're not 40 like you'll be 40. They're like more like 50, 60, because they deteriorate very quickly as well. They don't age normally. So basically, you would have all the stormtroopers would have been 40, 50, 60 years old. They're not. They're loose militia. They're punk kids like you guys. Yeah, the clones aren't stormtroopers. And you know I'm kidding. I love you guys. But
Arrogant punk, if I didn't have more important things to do, I'd let Video Man put you in your place.
I actually used to think stormtroopers were clones. Yeah, a lot of people did. Even we did at first. We didn't know. Before a lot of you were born, we knew about the Clone Wars, obviously, right? A New Hope mentions the Clone Wars. So all of us for like 30 years are like, okay, what are these damn clones? So we had assumed that a possibility is the stormtroopers are clones. But on the same token, when you're a big Star Wars fan and you get word on the street and you're reading stuff like Starlog, and we discovered that no, they weren't clones. I don't remember when, but over time we discovered that no, they're stormtroopers. Did we know much about them? No. We just assumed they were troops trained by the Empire, but that they weren't clones. So either way, when Attack of the Clones was announced, we were all excited because we're like, oh, we're going to finally see what this clones thing is. But even us at first, us OGs were like, are they clones? Because we heard about the Clone Wars. Most of us did. Even us OGs. He clearly has. No, I don't think he has. It hasn't been, at least it's been a very long time since he's watched them, because holy shit, his shows, his references, everything shows that he has totally forgotten or doesn't know what the hell Star Wars is. And yet you've got all these people that think he's the greatest thing since bread and butter and he loves and knows Star Wars. And it's like, holy shit. Clearly you don't know Star Wars if you believe that nonsense. Clones were stormtroopers. A rebellion would be screwed. Well, yes and no, because the clones age very quickly, so they would actually be dying off or be pretty worthless by the time of the rebellion. When they get wiped out between 3 and 4, yeah. According to lore, as soon as Palpatine takes over, he's like, I don't want this shit out of here. He gets rid of the droids, he gets rid of... Palpatine, I've explained this before, gets rid of all ties. Remember, he kills all the people he sends Anakin to kill all the dudes on Mustafar. He sends Anakin to the temple to kill all the Jedi. He gets rid of all the droids. Remember, he says, shut down all the droids. And they're all... And he also gets rid of all the clones. He gets rid of, for 2 reasons. 1, because they're inefficient and they're going to age and they're just become a liability. But 2, he severs all ties. He gets rid of any connection that can lead back to him doing the corruption of becoming Emperor Palpatine. He wants it all to look like the Jedi betrayed the Republic. So he wipes out any kind of connection. So yes, between 3 and 4, and very close to 3. According to lore, he very quickly gets rid of the clones. He immediately ends the cloning program and wipes a lot of them out. Now, it doesn't mean that he's wasting a ton of time and money and effort hunting down clones. He knows they're going to age and fall out anyways. So, but the point is, he doesn't pursue any more clones. He shuts down that program and it's done. So yes, closer to 3, but yes, between 3 and 4. I thought clones were stormtroopers. Nope. They would be way old. Stormtroopers are just loose militia, just loose people around the galaxy that want to join the Empire. They're not really trained and they're not clones. They're just like me and you. Why confused? They were never clones, dear. They're just people. According to EU, stormtroopers were clones, but bred from new people, not Jango Fett. Only the Fire for First Legion kept Jango clones. They never get used to the new guys. Yeah, but again, that's EU, and that's not canon, because we see that naturally the clones are Jango Fett. Stormtroopers were recruited. Yeah. Part of them are recruited. Part of them are they join. They sign up. They believe in the Empire. They want, they believe in the benefits of the Empire and that type of thing. Palpatine said to clone the Zillo Beast. What's the Zillo Beast? Clone. What's that Zillo Beast? Clone Palps? Where's that Zillo Beast? Clone Palps? Yeah, I don't know. Also had some speciesism at the time of the OT. Humans being at the top, yeah. Humanoid aliens being the second, aliens being low, and droids being the absolute lowest, yes. Lucas himself even said it, like, for example, 3PO and droids in general, he said something like, the droids are just droids. They don't have feelings. They'll be okay, you know. 3PO and R2 aren't intended to be like, oh, they're sentient and they have, you know, feelings, and it's that they portray themselves that way so that you can connect to them. But it's not like that they truly, that's why that whole, the Jedi R2 unit, I forget his name now, R6 or whatever, I forget which one, but he's the Jedi droid. That was, again, EU is never canon because it goes against what's what. The idea is cool and fun or whatever, but the droids aren't sentient. They have like a personality and you connect to them and believe that, but they don't really, they're not, you know, they're droids. They don't have feelings. They're just droids. And I know that R2 like whirs and whistles and, you know, but that's just so that you connect to them, not that he's literally, that's programming. R2 knows that if he does, that humans are going to get what he's trying to express. It's not that R2 literally, oh, his heart is, understand? 3PO talks and acts the way he does because you connect as a humanoid. You can associate and relate to that, but it's not because 3PO is actually like alive. You know what I'm saying? People confuse that, but no, Lucas made it clear. He said that they don't have feelings. They're just droids. They'll be okay. They'll get over it. Yeah, could be. Why has Video Man not been added to Spider-Man lore? I don't know, but they really, me personally, they need to make a Video Man movie. Holy shit, would that be badass? And of course, Spidey and others could pop in. They could do the old school Spidey, Firestorm, and Iceman. Man, what I would like to see a Firestorm and live action. But she's got to have that same body and be like that cute. Holy smokies. Boba ages normally because Jango wanted unaltered. The rest age like crazy, chronologically 15, biologically almost 50. Yeah. Well, a little less than that. They grow at twice the rate. So 10 is 20. And they literally show you that in Attack of the Clones. Boba is 10. All the clones are 10 years old, technically. But that's what Lucas is showing you. Boba looks like he is 10 years old. The clones appear as if they're 20. But really, inside their soul is 10 years old. They're trained. Their brains are accelerated. They act more like a 20-year-old. I'm not saying that they are like little 10-year-olds. But I'm saying that really, technically, Cody, Rex, well, half of them don't even exist. That's Clone Wars cartoons. Cody, being a great example, is 10 years old, technically. So if you're 20, you're 40. If you're 40, you're 80. 15, you would be more like 30, not quite 50. But as you get older, they start to deteriorate faster and faster and faster. So maybe not 15, but by the time they're like 30, rather than being 60, they're probably closer to like 70, 80, because yes, now they're deteriorating at a higher rate. And that was one of the big reasons why Palpatine got rid of them, because now they're a huge liability. They kept deteriorating and breaking down, and they're no good. He wanted an army that self-sustains and would last a long time. So Yes, by all means, you absolutely the home of Uba Uba. Where are you hiding?
Uba, Uba, Uba.
Okay. Boy, you guys are chatting away. Let me cover a quick thing because it's totally connected to what we're talking about. And then I'll get back to your... Close that. Okay. This just came out, so I wanted to talk about it. I think it came out just today, as a matter of fact. Yes. Okay. June 12th. So 2 days ago. The Book of Boba Fett star opens up about show plot details. Disney is taking a bit of an odd turn. This is Forbes, by the way. Well, yeah, you can see it here. This is a bit of an odd turn when it comes to the future plans for its flagship Star Wars series, The Mandalorian. Taking its plot this winter will be the Book of... It's taking its spot this winter will be the Book of Boba Fett, a spin-off focused on the previously more famous Mandalorian from the universe. One who showed up in a key role in Mando Season 2. The Mandalorian Season 3 is not filming until later than usual, in part because Pedro Pascal also now has a Last of Us series to star in for HBO and should be out in later 2022, it seems. But now the star Boba Fett, the man himself, Tamora Morrison, is talking about what we should expect from the series and that it's not simply going to be a continuation of the arc we saw in The Mandalorian, but an exploration of the past and how we got here. Now, before I go further, I want to mention something because we were talking about this the other day. Pedro knew that Mandalorian was going to film for like 2 years. That's why he signed the contract for Last of Us. Because if he knew he was going to be filming, then he wouldn't have done that. Okay? So obviously they knew they didn't know what they were going to do with Mandalorian. They put it on hold, and that's why he signed that. Now, on the flip side of that, they again confirmed that Mandalorian 3 has not begun. And they're saying in part because Pedro has the Last of Us series, which we all know about. But has anyone heard about Pedro filming The Last of Us? I haven't. Now, I'm not following it, so that's why I'm asking. But as far as I know, they haven't even started pre-production on The Last of Us. They are not filming The Last of Us. So if Mandalorian Season 3 has to wait till after The Last of Us, and, I mean, movies, they can film fairly quickly nowadays, few months. But if they haven't even begun filming The Last of Us, then until that's even completed, can we even begin to have the conversation of them beginning to film Mandalorian? Now, for all we know, they won't begin filming The Last of Us till the end of the year or months from now. I haven't heard of them beginning. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying I haven't heard anything of them beginning. So if they don't start till, let's say, the end of the year, then they got to film that. Then they got to do post-production. They're not even going to begin filming Mandalorian until minimum beginning of 22. Which means then they're in pre-production. Then they start filming. Then they do pickup shots, B-roll, extra, reshoots. Then they go into post-production. Every season of The Mandalorian was in production the year before it came out. So, at best, Mandalorian will be out in 2023. At best, if it even happens. Tamora, well, we can't say too much, but we're going to see his past and where he's been since The Empire Strikes Back. Somebody pointed out he's been kind of stuck in this one place. And now's the time to actually go back in time and check out his journey and find out more about him. Now, what places have you been stuck in? The Sarlacc pit. Now, they even say that he probably meant Jedi here. Unless he really means Empire and he was stuck in Jabba's palace, but I don't think so. He very willingly, according to lore, worked for Jabba for many years. He was Jabba's #1 dude. I'm not sure Morrison meant Return of the Jedi instead of Empire Strikes Back, given that Jedi is where Boba Fett gets eaten by the Sarlacc, a situation he clearly escaped from, but not before losing his iconic armor. But at least part of the series will be a flashback about what he's been doing since then. He clearly still had his ship as the Slave One, though we see him become this sort of roaming warrior using Tusken Raider weapons, yes, which was weird. Why didn't he just get his Slave One back? But okay. The gap between Jedi and Mandalorian is 5 years, so that's the blank space we have to fill in. I'm curious as to what Fett would be doing during that time, presumably trying to find his armor, but we know that didn't happen until season 2 of The Mandalorian. Did he try to seek out Luke or Han to get revenge for his almost death? I mean, I don't think we're going to see CGI DH versions of either of them appear in the series, so I imagine that's not going to be what's covered. If Morrison really did mean Empire, maybe there's some other stuff that may be covered between Empire and Jedi that we need to know about. As we know, Fett got Han and transported him to Jabba, but I mean, I suppose other events could have happened in the interim while Leia and Luke were planning Han's liberation. Regardless, obviously, this is going to be a key series to watch. I'm looking forward to his storylines, past or present, even if I have to wait for a long while for Mando himself to return. Okay. Not that it's a surprise. Obviously, we were going to get Boba Fett flashbacks. But just saying, it confirms it. Tamora says it. We're going to see him come out of the Sarlacc pit. How? I don't know. Now, again, I'm not saying that Lucas intended that. I'm not saying that it's canon. Mandalorian is far from canon. Book of Boba Fett already fucked up because that's not how Boba Fett looks or behaves. So even if I'm the biggest Boba Fett fan, and while I would love to see Boba Fett come out of the Sarlacc, and it'll be neat to see, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be like, yeah, see, it's canon. See, Disney said, Filoni said it's canon, so he survived. No, I'm not. No. Disney is all fan fiction, so it doesn't make any difference. All I'm saying is that obviously we're going to see him come out of the Sarlacc pit. So there you have it. We have confirmation that it's going to be a lot of flashbacks, and here comes the Sarlacc. All right. And again, they have not started filming Last of Us. Never mind thinking about Mandalorian. So Mandalorian ain't going to be for a while, if it even happens. All righty. We can stop that. Okay. Fun fact. George Lucas didn't have a full plan when it came to the Clone Wars and A New Hope. He just thought it sounded cool. Well, I don't know if it just sounded cool. He had some notes. Did he have a full plan of what it totally was? No, absolutely not. I know that. I've seen that, and I agree with you. But this is the problem that a lot of people make. They think because he doesn't have the entire script written out, he didn't know what he was doing. No, he did. He has a notebook that most people haven't seen, and obviously he had an idea of what was going to happen in the overall story. Did he know every detail and have it planned out? No, I'm not arguing that. All I'm saying is that people want to take too much liberty with that and be like, see, he didn't have a plan. He didn't know what he was doing. He just made it all up. No, he didn't. He knew very well the overarching story. That's why there's continuity, because he already, from the beginning, knew where everything was going to go. Well, not where everything was going to go, but in general. He himself says, Obi-Wan was just standing around in episode 4 watching space battles, so I decided to kill him off. But then afterwards, I killed him off, and in Empire, I was stuck because now I needed a mentor for Luke because I didn't know if I was going to be able to make Empire. So then that's where Yoda comes from. So believe me, I'm the first person to acknowledge that he didn't have every last little detail planned out. But he did have the overarching story of Anakin, Luke, what the problem is. Darth Vader and Dutch is Dark Father. So it's not like he was totally clueless. You know, people want to say he didn't know what he was doing. He's such an idiot. No, he knew what he was doing. He just didn't know every little detail. So I wouldn't say that he didn't know what the Clone Wars and it just sounded cool. I think he knew a little bit more than that. Did he have it all planned out and know all the details? No, of course not. Ask Dave all these questions. He would just lie. So what's the point? EU Disney argument in Lucas's Star Wars, there was no speciesism or racism. Yeah. You can make a power structure argument, but according to George, there was no racism. Yes, correct. And in fact, that ties into the droid thing that I was saying, that everyone is past all that. Everybody's, you know, it's just the droids. The droids are like the only ones that kind of feel any kind of disdain. And that's where he says, but they'll get over it because droids don't really have feelings anyways. They'll be all right. That's the same, where I took that from is from this same thing. Not racism, speciesism. Why do you think droids? Yeah, but droids aren't a species. Droids are droids. That's the thing. Learn something new. So where did the stormtroopers go? Like I said, they are just loose militia. They're just people that sign up like, hey, I want to fight for the Empire. That's what George Lucas said. They're just militia. They're not highly trained. They're not... I'm sure they recruited some, but it's not even like they have all these, you know, posters and like, join the Empire. Well, maybe they did, but it's not so organized as people think. They're just loose knuckleheads. That's why they can't shoot, and that's why he explains. You want me to pull it up? I'll read it for you guys. I'll show. I have done it many times, but I'll show it to you again. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to finish your comments. I'm going to take like a quick 5-minute break, and then I'll show you exactly where it comes from and what Lucas specifically said. So I'm not what's the word? Paraphrasing. I will show you literally what George Lucas said. All right. So just give me a couple minutes. No racism in Star Wars. Your droids, they're going to have to wait outside. We don't want them here. Yes, but they're droids aren't a species or a race. They're just nuts and bolts, guys. Hate, ism, you could say that, but not racism or speciesism, because they're neither. They're droids. Most slaves in Star Wars aren't even humans. They're humanoid aliens. Yeah. But they're sentient living beings. Droid live match. Yes, they do. I love R2. R2 is one of my favorite characters of all time. And again, when I say, as I always tell you guys, me saying something is not putting an opinion. It's not like, you know, I fuck droids. No. To me, R2 is one of the most important and beloved characters. I love R2 to death. But at the end of the day, him going, isn't R2 really being a little boy? It's just R2, his programming knows that you as a human being in the film and us outside watching the film, we're going to relate that he's relaying that, you know, something's wrong or that he's sad, or he's not truly sad, but he's expressing that so that you connect to that emotion. Stormtroopers were recruited humans. Some. A lot of them just joined, and I'll read you the thing. Solo joined up, yes, and they gave him his money. Solo also lost lots of money. They gave him his name, I meant to say. Clone Wars Sheev already looks like his Darth Sidious look. Yeah, kind of. Not totally, but kind of. Droids took up room, and there was nothing in the bar to serve them with. They just took up space. True. And also, in one of the guides, which is also verifies something that I always kind of knew, they weren't allowed because there's a lot of dealings and spies and information floating around the cantina, any cantina. So they didn't want droids around because they would spy, they could record and hear things, you know, so that they would, you know, keep droids out. A lot of that was that. So there was no eavesdropping. They also don't buy drinks. Palpatine wanted to clone the Zillo Beast so he could use it. It's indestructible skin for the Death Star, or at least that's my theory. There you go. Nobody notices why Han talks to C-3PO like shit, even Uncle Lars. Well, we all notice, but why does he talk to him? Not because it's like a racist or a species. It's because he's a fucking droid, dude. He's a robot. He's not supposed to have feelings. That's the point. It's not that they're being mean. It's that it's like your toaster talking smack to you, and you're like, shut the fuck up and toast my toast. You like me, and every Star Wars fan gets connected. Like, but that's 3PO, but that's R2. But no, R2's just a toaster at the end of the day. He's a very smart one. He's a very beloved one. But at the end of the day, he's a toaster. So R2 and 3PO shouldn't be talking smack to you. That's the point. Q&A part. Oh, that was in the beginning. Did you come later? Or are you just being funny? George did joke that since that was like 2 hours ago, dude. George did jokes that since droids are machines, they can handle being mistreated. Yes, he says they'll be fine. They don't have feelings. So you're gonna be just fine. Something underrated in Star Wars is the fact that Vader built C3. I thought that was an awesome tie. Some people hate that. I don't know why. I thought it was awesome. Why not? Why can't little Anakin build 3PO? I thought that was very cool. Some people were like, got all their pennies in a bunch about it. I don't know why. They're droids, but they're lifelike. Yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love them. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that they're, real or sentient. Video Man would be woke. He's always woke. He's made out of bits. He's always awake. Anyways, have you seen Into the Spider-Verse? The original one with Miles Morales? Yes. I liked it. I know that it's kind of silly and has problems, and I'm not a big fan of like multiple Spider-Mans. I like my Peter Parker. But just for fun, I thought it was cool. It was fun, and it was cool to see like, Spider Noir and Peter Porker, and like a lot of people. I know you guys mostly know, but a lot of people have no clue who Spider-Ham is. I know. I had the first issue. I know very well who Spider-Ham is. So to see that, I was like, okay, well, that's cool. I know there's nonsense like a Spidey cave and all that. I know it's silly, but just for fun, yeah, I liked it. If that's what you're talking about. Into the Spider-Verse, right? It was the first one with Miles Morales. Because I know there was a second one, or they're making a second one, or, But I liked it. Just for fun. I'm not saying that it's canon and perfect or anything like that. Want to go to the island? The stormtroopers kind of do, and we'll talk about that. I have a theory that droids build a personality the longer around. Well, they kind of could. That was the big difference between R2 and 3PO, and also all the R2 units. All the droids would periodically be wiped. Luke purposely made sure that R2 was never wiped. That's why he's so smart and whimsical, is because he has so much data. He's much smarter than all the other droids. Not so much because he's special. R2 is special, of course. But I'm just saying it's because he's never wiped. So he has all this data on the Empire and ships and the Death Star and all these events that happen. That's why he's the keeper of the wills. He's the one that tells the story. R2. He's also in all the major events of the films. So, in a way, yes, R2 builds a personality because he understands what Luke and humans react to. So over time, he builds that data bank, right? He has that memory, and he knows that if I chirp this way, then the humans are going to understand and react this way. If I, they're going to get, But it's not, again, because R2 has a little heart inside, and he's like, oh. It's because R2 knows that that's how you, the audience, and Luke and gang are going to understand and relate. Have a shelf life 30, 40 years where they could train stormtroopers. Spider-Man and his friends. I got to rewatch that. Yeah, I love that. I'm surprised I've never asked questions about Resistance, but I've only seen 3 episodes, so I don't know all the damage it does. I haven't seen much either. I just kind of skimmed through it. I mean, it's pretty stupid. Uber Droid's hand looks like a Brock cup. Yeah, it is kind of weird, huh? I always thought that was strange. Rey's not a Skywalker, Clone Wars fan, but it's canon, and you have to accept it as canon, or you're not a fan. Me, just like how you don't consider what George says to be true, right? Exactly. That's the thing. It's like they want so badly to justify shit, and by doing that, you're literally contradicting everything that George said and did. So that your whole argument is flawed from the beginning, or their argument. But they don't want to see that. They don't want to think about that. They only want to see what they want to see. They want to be able to justify the nonsense. But it's not George's universe anymore. Yeah, well, but it always is. Always will be. That's the problem. That's why Disney fails. That's why Star Wars is in the mess that it is, because you actually, regardless of who owns it, it's always George's universe, and you have to respect it, and they chose not to, and that's why Disney's in the problems that they're in. Had they just respected George's universe, man, they could have made billions upon billions. Guys, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Had I had control of Lucasfilm, and I oversaw the creation and production and marketing and everything of the sequel trilogy, Episode 9 would have made $5 billion without even trying. Episode 1 would have probably made, Episode 7 would have probably made 3+. And I would have signed it in paper. Guaranteed. By Episode 9, that movie's making $5 billion without even trying. And it would have easily done it had you respected and built off of canon. But when you get more than half the people pissed off, the story's all over the place. Your own fans are like, well, you know, I really like the films, but you're right. That doesn't really kind of make sense. It's nonsense. They did it to themselves. Yeah. DLL. Dildoni doesn't get to decide what canon is. Yeah, that's exactly true. Didn't he say Lando? You see, here's the thing. Disney owns it and can do whatever they want, and they can make all the stories they want. But what they can't do is break or create canon. Well, they could if they respected and cared. They could create canon. But what I'm saying is because they choose not to, they can't create canon. They can create all the stuff that they want, but they can't create canon, not under the way that they're doing things. So, in one way, yes, they own it and can do whatever the fuck they want. But what they can't do is change or create canon. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. That's what Star Wars is. So, all they're doing is making fan fiction all the time. They're not creating Star Wars. These fans say you have to respect Disney canon. You have to accept George's canon, though. Yes. Well, how can you respect Disney canon when it's not even canon? First of all, to be canon, you have to respect pre-established canon. And second of all, they don't even respect their own shit. They break their own shit on the daily. So how can you possibly respect it? I watched first 3 episodes of Resistance, the worst stupid trilogy. The main character is Ezra, the worst. Animation looks terrible. Yeah, it's trash. You think R2 would sound like if he sings? Well, we hear him whistling, so I would think something like that. Han's nerves all the time. Captain Solo, I just discovered Han. 3PO, get out. I'm trying to rail Leia. Yes. Well, and that's why Han gets angry with him. It's not so much that he's interrupting or that he's there or that he's passing information. It's that he's a freaking droid. And he's like, dude, you understand? If someone else, a human, came to him and said, hey, you know what, the odds are like this, you got to be careful, then he would be like, okay. But instead, it's this droid, you know. Remember, he says, hey, Chewie, take the professor in the back and plug him into the hyperdrive. Remember? Okay, so it's because a toaster is trying to tell you shit. That's why he gets aggravated with 3PO. The only other time you see Han behave anything like that is you won't make it past the first marker. Your tauntaun will freeze. Your tauntaun will freeze before you make it to the first marker. And then he says, then I'll see you in hell. That's like the only other time he like totally disregards advice like that. Why? Because he's going to go save Luke. And that makes sense. You know, he could have just took off from Hoth. Instead, he goes to I'm forgetting his name right now, the admiral, and he says, hey, listen, I'm sorry, but I gotta go, you know, I gotta pay this debt off. He could have just dipped, but he didn't. Spider-Man is MTV's Neil Patrick Harris Spider-Man. I don't remember Neil Patrick Harris. I gotta look at that. I don't remember that right now. Do you think Into the Spider-Verse would be a great way to reintroduce? Could be. Me personally, I would just like a Video Man movie. You know, stop dicking around. Stop messing around. Iron Man has movies. Spidey, you know, make a Video Man movie. Why not? You could tie into all kinds of different characters, and I think he's compelling enough where he could have his own story. Now, there's kind of two ways about him. There's one that he was created like as bits, and then there's the other one where he's like created like a video game. Then there's the other one where the nerdy guy gets zapped by the video game and becomes Video Man. So you could do both, or you could do one of the two. I think that he's compelling enough, and that the nature of his character, you could do all kinds of wicked CGI, because now you don't have to worry about him being flesh and bone and how he bends and moves. Now he can flop like paper, right? He can do all kinds of, you know. I mean, I just think he would be so badass. So badass. You have that little sound like going through cables, and like now we got cell phones. He could jump out of a cell phone. I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff with him. All kinds of stuff. So I'm not against him being introduced that way, but I just think that he's got enough weight that you could make a Video Man movie. And then you pull in, you know, Spidey, and if nothing else, just bring in the old Amazing Spider-Man and his friends, or Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Firestar, Iceman, and him. Perfect. But even if it was just Spidey, or he teams up with like Doc Ock or whatever, fine. But I think he's got enough weight, you could make a Video Man movie. Not a trilogy, not get all crazy, but one solid Video Man. He doesn't have to tie in all to the MCU and do all that extra. Just make a solid Video Man movie. Yes, I want. Spider-Verse was a good movie. Spider-Noir is cool. Spider-Gwen was cute. Yeah, I thought it was fun. I just want, and you have to admit, like the art and the stylization of it, the cinematography, I mean, it was pretty awesome. I know some people get all worked up because of the canon, and I'm the first one to preach about canon. But to me, it's like I always say, if you establish that this is just a fun side project and it's not meant to be canon, okay. But Disney's problem is they want to insist that this shit is canon, and then yet they make a new episode, never mind a new show, and they're like, oh, well, no, that canon from yesterday doesn't matter. This is canon. You know, that kind of nonsense. That could be cool, Spider-Noir. I think a Peter Porker Spider-Ham could be a fun movie. They can make a black Spider-Man, just don't race swap Peter Parker. Now, I won't lie, race swapping characters in comics work sometimes, like Domino and Deadpool, but sometimes it's hit or miss. Yeah, I think you shouldn't mess with a core character or story or lore or canon. If something's established, you must respect it. And if you're just so desperate to have a black superhero or an Asian whatever, then create one. No one's stopping you. You know, I don't want Spawn to be some white dude either. I like him as he is, that black guy that sells his soul to the devil. I love Spawn. What do you think of the Treacherous Gold astromech? The sabotaged Anakin and Ahsoka in their efforts to find R2. I don't remember it right now. I kind of have an image of it, but I don't remember the arc or what happened, or it's totally insignificant to me. So that's what I think. Nonsense. Could have watched Resistance, but the main protagonist is worse than Ezra and Rey. Ezra. I gotta really make sure Joker and Penguin's friendship makes sense in Gotham series. Ezra was Rebels, not Resistance. Rebels has some redeeming qualities. Anna, that Star Wars girl, would tell you how terrible Resistance is. Yeah. I watched a couple episodes too. I was like, what is this nonsense? I don't remember anything of it really. I remember, I think the Poe was there. I remember when she was talking about how the terrible Star Trek Lower Decks was. I will see her Resistance videos. If you look up MTV Spider-Man on YouTube, it shows up. Okay, yeah, I will in a minute here. I just right now I can't think of that off the top of my head. What that was. More like the bilge decks, because pirates ships bilges are full of shit. Spider-Man Noir could be set in the MCU before Captain America: The First Avenger. Maybe there were several radioactive spiders in a lab and have been there for decades. I'm not against it. It makes sense. But again, stakes and emotions. Now you're changing the stakes. The point of Spidey was that there was that one spider that got loose and that got him. It makes the spider valuable as it does Spidey. Understand? I think if you have a bunch of spiders, now you're just making it like, I don't know. Enterprise Star Trek ends there for me. I was afraid to see Spider-Verse, but after given a good indication from its Trap Productions, I saw it and I'm surprised to say it's among the best of Spider-Man films. I really liked it. At least for fun factor. Black Spider-Man, Venom. That's not that shit Venom movie we got, yeah. Yeah, to me, Venom, you know, again, I'm no expert on the comics or any of that, but I read the original Venom, and I remember Spidey in that black suit, not, you know, some other shit like they did in the movie. I didn't hate the movie, but I was watching it like, that's not Venom. You know, the final product, okay, but it's black Spidey suit. That's where Venom comes from. I have so many ideas for where the MCU could go, but they instead have these ridiculous ideas like Loki and Captain Marvel. R3S6, he was a spy droid in season 1 of Clone Wars. Are you talking about the Jedi droid? I don't think that was R3S6, was it? Maybe. I don't think so. No, of Clone Wars, no, because he was New Hope era, AU. Are you R3? Is that the droid that MJ was asking about? I thought that was a 3PO unit. I'd have to look him up. Got nothing against African American actresses playing Starfire and Domino, just as long as they look like an orange alien or a pale blue mutant. Zoe Saldana actually looked the part of the character. Yeah. Back from our Kale programs. Hey, D, good to see you, bro. Spidey Noir wasn't empowered by radioactive spiders. He got covered in magic spiders that served Spider God. They made their own characters. Remember Safe Space and Snowflake, New Mutants or whatever. Yep. And that's why they don't. Is because they know they can't. But here's my thing. If I own a property like Marvel, why would I hire fuckwads that don't know how to create characters? Oh, because they agree with your agenda. Oh, because they share the same narrative and opinions. Oh, because they're not going to question you or make a comic about something that contradicts what you think. That's why. They're not looking for talent. They're looking for people that are going to continue the narrative of what they believe. The High Republic sound familiar? The High Republic is nothing about Star Wars or quality. It's about people that are going to parrot their opinions and their agendas. Feige was a hero of Disney IPs. Now they went broke. If they made a movie with all the Batmans through the years and put it in DCEU, it's going to be confusing. If it's just its own movie and tries to have fun, it would be fine. Yeah. Flashpoint's going to be a mess. I can't argue that. And I never read Flashpoint, and I'm, again, not a comics expert, but I know enough to understand basics of it, of the story. And yeah. For a Video Man movie, would he be able to alter the films or TV shows he enters from their intended recording, thereby making his own TV verse? Sure, why not? Sounds cool, actually. Video verse, yeah. I think that would be pretty neat, actually, if he could go. He could even do that. He could be going through, like, kind of Mandela affecting, right? Going through and altering all these shows and events, like, I don't know, 9/11 or whatever. He could be going in and, like, tweaking things, and people are like, what the hell? And causing, like, some weird Mandela effect. I like that. I like that. I like it. I didn't like how in The Amazing Spider-Man, Peter was destined to be Spider-Man. I like the idea that anyone can be bit and become Spider-Man. I mean, I suppose, but then again, Spider-Man is Spider-Man because of Peter. It's not that he's just a kid that was bit. It's his personality, his attitude, his temperament, his morality, his scruples are what make Spider-Man, right? Because at the core of Spider-Man's soul, he is Peter Parker. He's not just, it's not like he puts on the mask and he's different. It's not like it's not like the Hulk, right? Where he's totally like becomes an animal, a machine. No, he's Peter. That's why Infinity War pissed me off, because it got him acting like freaking Kylo Ren, like, no, I'm gonna want to die, being a little bitch. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? What's this, Spider-Man? Yeah, Peter's a nerd and has his flaws, but he was never that. The hell? So I don't know. I kind of disagree with you there, because a lot of who Spider-Man is the point that it's Peter. Could you get bit by that spider and have those powers? Sure. But you're not going to be Spidey. Because you're not Peter at the core. You'll just be another webhead. The High Republic. Flash is more Spider-Man than Batman. Yeah. Whatsoid-based nonsense that Bob Paycheck announced. He announced that because of Disney, you all know who Black Widow and Iron Man and all the Marvel heroes are, because before Disney, nobody knew who they were. He literally said that. That's the nonsense that he said. Now, I need to go back. I don't want to, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. Like, because of us, everybody knows who these characters are. He had the nerve to say that shit. Wow. When my Gotham show gets made and asks me if Bruce is going to have crossovers with Keaton, Mr. Bale, I'm going to say no every time they ask. Yeah, I don't like that too much. Batman's different because he's very flesh. You know what I mean? You know what Bruce Wayne is supposed to be like, and you've seen different iterations of Bruce Wayne. So have them crossing, whereas Multiverse was the Spider-Verse, it's cartoons and it's all different eras. And I think you can take more liberty there. Batman, I don't think that's going to work out too well. I still wanted to see the series George Lucas wrote, Underworld. Yeah, that's what they were going to do. That's where Mandalorian comes from. Favreau didn't create that shit. That's Underworld. It's a really poorly made Underworld. That's what that Mandalorian is. Jug of vodka. It was about Coruscant's underworld. Yes, there you go, underworld. That Videoverse idea was inspired by an episode of Teen Titans, the first episode of season 4. Don't touch that dial. They pursued Control Freak into the TV verse. Cool. Yeah, I think with Video Man, you could. Yeah, absolutely. He could be going back and like erasing videotapes and messing up all DVDs and screwing up your hard drive. I mean, he could do all kinds of shit. Like you turn on your computer and it's all fucking different, and like, yeah, you could have some fun if it was thought out and planned and done properly. It could be pretty badass. He could mess with government, like the Pentagon computers. I mean, he could do all kinds of shit. It'd be awesome. Amazing Spider-Man Peter was an asshole. Yeah, kind of. There are some what if tales where someone else got bitten. Betty Brant, another was Flash, another John Jameson. Their careers ended much shorter than Peter's. That's why Peter's Spider-Man. Yeah. Spell checker, no worries. Disney, no one knew the Guardians of the Galaxy were until 2014. Me. I played Lego Marvel. There you go. Well, with Underworld, there could have been a possibility it would break canon like the Clone Wars just because it has Geos. Yes, but George was indeed very involved. He hired a bunch of writers. I mean, at the end of the day, the writers were creating the stories, but he was much more involved because he had input on certain things. Like, I haven't made that video yet, but I have a doc that has basically the history of how it was developed. That's why when I tell you, like, Saw Gerrera, Cassian Andor, these are George Lucas characters, not Filoni or Disney characters. They went and fucked them up and did whatever. But actually, some of that stuff, Palpatine had a love interest that failed, and that's why part of why he becomes so corrupt and evil and so angry. There's little things that you guys probably aren't aware of, but I will make that video when I have the time. So George was pretty involved with Underworld. He had a lot of investment in that. And when I say investment, not only like money and time, they wrote over 50 episodes, but he was heavily invested as in wanting to make that much more than that little silly cartoon. He wanted real live action Star Wars. He really, really wanted to do that. It was just too expensive to do the episodes, which I wish he would have held out. I wish he would have made Star Wars Plus, and holy shit. But anyways, trust me when I tell you that I'm not saying he was involved like in the movies, but that he was much more involved in the Clone Wars cartoons. And that I'm going to reveal a bunch of stuff that there's all kinds of stories and connections and stuff from Underworld. So I'm not saying that it wouldn't break canon or be a side thing, but one, because he put so much into it, and two, being Lucas, like it was meant to be like an extension of the movies, not just a TV show. Like Mandalorian is just a TV show. Andor is just going to be a TV show. Whereas you know how Lucas did, it was canon. So, and again, cartoons are cartoons, guys. Don't get hung up on the Clone Wars. Whereas Underworld was the intention of being heavily Boba Fett, heavily Coruscant, and much more connected to the movies. At the end of the day, would have been considered canon and a side thing. I don't know. We don't know. But from the data that I have, I can tell you that it was taken much more seriously than the little Filoni cartoons. In my humble opinion, Bruce Wayne really needs to get a life. But yeah, by all means, he can prove it. It doesn't mean that it's canon. I'm not arguing. Just saying that I have some information that it looked like where it was going was meant to be a direct extension of the films. Bruce Wayne really needs to get a life. If he obsesses over fighting crime and doesn't get married and have kids, his family legacy dies with him along with the Bat legacy. If I were that rich, you're young, you're handsome, you're athletic. I mean, Vicky Vale, oh my God, dude, I'm wifing that. Boom. Come on, dude. Yeah, he could have had tons of women. And women, can complicate your life, so I get it. because women always get attached. Then they're going to be like, oh, you shouldn't go out again. What about the kids? You know, you see, when you start to really think it through, it actually causes problems. You can't really fight crime if you've got a wife and kids. Now they're in danger because people are going to come after them. It causes a whole bunch of other problems. So I get it, both sides. Lego Marvel video game came out in 2013. It would have been live action. I guess Lucas would have had much more of an input than he did. Yeah, that's the thing. No, he didn't. He hired a bunch of writers, like 10, and they wrote over 50 episodes. And again, my video will show you all the writers, all the details. I have a ton of information on it that I don't know anybody else is aware of. So I'm not going to reveal where I got it or how I got it or what it is until you see the video. I will show you. But yeah, I have quite a bit of information on it. And it was roughly 10 writers, 50 plus episodes. And again, he was more directly involved with it. So I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, it was going to be canon, because we don't know. But I can tell you that he was certainly very invested emotionally, personally. You know what I mean? He spent a lot of money flying writers back and forth, and he was very, you know, serious about it. So Video Man movie, you can do the two Video Men, one good, the other evil. Video Man wants to ruin history and entertainment. Good Video Man wants to save and potentially make it better. Yeah, sure. Sure, but which one? You could even have it where you don't really know which one is which, right? Because they basically look the same. So you could even play off of that. Like for a while, you don't even know who's who and who's really. You could play on the morality thing. Like, is the Empire really evil or is it the rebels, right? So you could do the same thing. Like, is Video Man really that bad? Because now he's deleting all kinds of bad stuff. But then ultimately, the good Video Man, you know, reminds everybody that you can't alter history. You can't mess with things because there's consequences. Oh, yeah, you can have all kinds of fun with Video Man. I wish, man. I want so badly a Video Man movie. A properly made one. They probably weren't that popular until their first movie came out, but they were well known back then. Rumor War Machine. I don't know. Did he just make a rumor? I can tell you this. Today, Bob Chapek said that Don Cheadle is going to be War Machine. So if Doomcock did say a rumor, well, guess what? He was right. Because Bob Chapek literally said today that that's happened. So I don't know. Did Doomcock just do a video about that? Animated show about MODOK starring Patton Oswalt. I watched their first episode and it was boring. Okay, I'm going to take a quick intermission. I'll come back and I'll show you guys the Stormtrooper thing. All right, so give me a few minutes. Shaq, are you still around? Because I want to show you that. Shaq and I think Wes. Lol. Yeah, I don't know. Did Doomcock just make a video about that recently? Because I didn't catch that. But if he did, well, guess what? He was right. Because literally, Chapek just said like 2 hours ago that Don Cheadle is going to be doing War Machine. Because he said something like, well, for those that, you know, miss Iron Man or whatever, War Machine's coming, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know the details, but all right. I'll be back in a few minutes, guys. Here's a little wisdom for you, and I'll be back shortly.
If you think of the first three films as one film, which is what it was intended to be, you know, Darth Vader comes in the front door, scares everybody, kills a few guys, and then you follow it through, and then you find out that Luke is his father, and then eventually it ends up with him not being the bad guy, but actually being a rather sad guy, and then eventually being the hero and killing the Emperor. That if you saw it as one movie, that's the movie you'd see. And one of the problems I had is that Darth Vader became such an icon of evil that when it got split up over 6 years, the impact of him as a tragic character got lost. So that was one of the inspirations for going back and doing the backstory, because it really is about, it's really the tragedy of Darth Vader is the story.
Struggle in Star Wars is about passion against compassion, which is
greed against giving and giving up primarily. And the whole issue is the flip side of greed is fear of losing. So you're either trying to get things or you're afraid of losing the things that you've got. And the idea is that to let go of those things and because once you start down that path of fear, then you're trying to protect things and you're willing to fight for things and you're willing to. And the Jedi's basic job in the beginning, which we never get to see too much of because we start really during the war, they were like marshals in the Old West. I mean, they would go from town to town and they would, help solve the problems and in a lot of cases the marshals and the judges were pretty much the same thing, and they would just travel and they would bring justice and solve problems for people, which is kind of what Jedi are. And they're negotiators, they're not fighters, only they're negotiators, sort of like the mafia. They're compassionate negotiators with a very big laser sword, which they don't like to use, but if somebody, doesn't want to solve the problem, then they'll solve it for them, so to speak, which is an incentive for people to solve their problems without fighting.
The first film starts with the last age of the Republic, which is it's getting tired, it's old, it's getting corrupt. There's the rise of the Sith, who are now becoming a force. And in the backdrop of this, you have Anakin Skywalker, a young boy who's destined to be a very significant player in bringing balance back to the Force and the Republic. In the second film, we get into more of that turmoil. It's the beginning of the Clone Wars. It's the beginning of the end of democracy in the Republic, sort of the beginning of the end of the Republic. And it's Anakin Skywalker beginning to deal with some of his more intense emotions of anger, hatred, sense of loss, possessiveness, jealousy, and the other things he's coping with. Then we will get to the third film where he is seduced to the dark side, which brings us up to films 4, 5, and 6, where Anakin's offspring redeem him and allow him to fulfill the prophecy where he brings balance to the Force by doing away with the Sith and getting rid of evil in the universe. A lot of the issues that are in films 4, 5, and 6 become much clearer when you begin to realize what's behind the issues and how things came to pass. Because there's a lot of things that really are alluded to in the last 3 films, but they don't make much sense unless you really get the gist of what happens, and you really have to have seen 1, 2, and 3 in order to get it all. You get to see the universe, kind of, in the first 3 films. You get to go to the Senate, you get to go to the center of the galaxy, you get to go to these very sophisticated planets and all this kind of stuff. And you're seeing things that are very sophisticated. You're seeing very sophisticated aliens, all kinds of things that are digitally created, large scope, very vast scale and everything. So then when you get down to episode 4, it's all very small. Everything's real tiny. There's no scope to it at all. And it's in a very small corner of the galaxy. You talk about those things, but you never ever get to see them. But of course in this thing, you'll have already seen all those things, so you'll know what they're talking about. And you'll know when he's saying, I'm stuck here in the far corner of the galaxy, you'll know what he's talking about. And you'll realize that he is stuck in a little dim corner of the universe.
Found in all living things, around us, flows from us, controls individuals, yet we have free will. We have a destiny if we want to follow it. We live for a reason and must discover what it is. What happens when you go to the dark side is it goes out of balance, and then you get really selfish and you forget about everybody, and you ultimately lead yourself, because when you get selfish you get stuff, or you want stuff. Mm-hmm. And when you want stuff and you get stuff, then you are afraid somebody's going to take it away from you, whether it's a person or a thing or a particular pleasure, experience. Mm-hmm. Once you become afraid that somebody's going to take it away from you, or you're going to lose it, then you start to become angry, especially if you're losing it, and that anger leads to hate.
And hate leads to suffering. Mostly on the part of the person who's selfish, because you spend all your time being afraid of losing everything you've got, instead of actually living. Where joy, by giving to other people, you can't think about yourself, and therefore there's no pain. But the pleasure factor of greed and of selfishness is a short-lived experience. Therefore, you're constantly trying to replenish it. But of course, the more you replenish it, the harder it is to, so you have to keep upping the ante. You're actually afraid of the pain of not having the joy. So that is ultimately the core of the whole dark side, light side of the Force. And everything flows from that. Obviously, the Sith are always unhappy because they never get enough of anything they want. Mostly their selfishness centers around power and control. And the struggle is always to be able to let go of all that stuff. And of course, that's the problem with Anakin ultimately is you're allowed to love people, but you're not allowed to possess them. And what he did is that he, fell in love and then married her and then became jealous. And then he saw in his visions that she was going to die. He couldn't stand losing her. So in order to not lose her, he made a pact with the devil to be able to become all-powerful.
I am becoming more powerful than any Jedi has ever dreamed of, and I'm doing it for you.
But of course, when he did that, she didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. So he lost her.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Once you were powerful, being able to bring her back from the dead, well, if I can do that, then I can be Emperor of the Universe. I can get rid of the Emperor. I can do everything. I can make everything the way I want it.
And together, you and I can rule the galaxy. Make things the way we want them to be.
And once you do that, you'll never be satiated. You're always going to be consumed with this driving desire to have more stuff and be afraid that others are going to take it away from you. And of course they are. Because every time you get two Sith together, you have the master, you have the apprentice, and the apprentice is always trying to recruit another apprentice to join with him to kill the master. And the master knows that he's basically everybody below him wants his job. Only way to overcome the dark side is through discipline. The dark side is pleasure, biological, and temporary, and easy to...
Okay, I know you guys have seen that many times, and you'll see it again, so I will stop it. It's 6:30, so I'll hang with you guys for another half an hour. I'm going to make dinner, and then I'm going to record the press conference, and I'll make a little video. So expect either tonight or early tomorrow, you're going to see a Bob Chapek video. Let's see. Just a moment. Okay, yes, the replay the replay is up. So I'll get off here in a little bit, and while I make dinner, I will record it and then I'll edit it. So as it's not so long and I'm just going to do a few clips, you'll probably get that video tonight, so keep an eye. Worst case, early tomorrow morning, but let's see. Boy, you guys are chatting away. Don't race swap. Joker. R3S6. Let me look at him real quick. Double agent, Confederacy of Independent Systems, the CIS, Sabotage Republic. Okay, yes, I recognize him. I don't remember his arc or too much, but I do recognize him. Yes. Okay. Right. I see pictures of him. Yeah. All right. Where are we at? All right. Video verse. Yeah, I like the video verse. Bob Paycheck. Yeah, I call him that often. That's funny. This I gotta look at because boy, is that coincidental. And I like this idea. Present. He didn't. Oh, okay. Doomcock didn't. All right. Yeah, because you mentioned that, so I don't know what you. If you were just being funny, there are a few love interests. Catwoman is one of them. Another is Vicky Vale, but I also like Dr. Chase Meridian. Yeah, remember her from Batman Forever. And there's Julie Madison from Batman and Robin. Longest love interest. Catwoman. Yeah. She looked great in the suit, but it's not set in Gotham. She's just a jewel thief, and her name is Selena Kyle. Hey, Bounding, what's up? John, I assume that's you. Yes, he did. I will be making a video shortly, so I was going to actually write you on Twitter. If you're here, please confirm. But assuming you're here, hopefully you are. I'm going to have a video out probably tonight. Look for it because you're going to love this. So I kind of don't want to say it because then it's going to spoil it. But in a nutshell, according to him, Disney made Marvel popular. So hang tight. In a couple hours, I'll have it up. It's going to be a short video, probably 3 minutes, 5 minutes, if that. But there's some key things that he said. So, yes. Hopefully you're here and you hear me right now. He did say something very crazy. And there'll be a video. Something you will definitely want to jump on. He mostly stuttered that Disney made Marvel famous and created The Simpsons. Yeah. He said this. Yes, he did. Pretty sure. Yeah. According to him, like, because of Disney, like, everybody knows and loves the Marvel characters now. So again, I will have a video up 2-3 hours because it's not going to take long to make. Like I said a minute ago, I'm going to bounce out, make dinner. I'll record the thing. Then I'll run back upstairs, splice it up real quick. There wasn't much that he said, but there's a few key lines that he did say. It'll be a short video, but it's something you're going to definitely want to jump on because he said some dumb shit. So, Shaq, I don't know if you're still here, but I'm going to show you guys what I was talking about with the Stormtroopers. And we'll probably close out here in a minute. I covered the Boba Fett thing. I'll add the link later. YouNow people, thank you for watching. I know that a lot of you are in and out, but I appreciate it. The replay is up, so I will record this in just a moment. So I'll show you the Stormtrooper thing and then any last little things you guys want to chat about, and then I'll jump off because I want to get that video done. And again, John, assuming you're around, you're going to want to jump all over this one. So hang tight. I'll have a video up in a couple hours. You know, of course you can do something yourself, but you know me, I'll make a nice little video. And if you want to talk about it tonight or tomorrow on Bounding, that would be awesome. Okay, let me find this because I have it buried in my Jedi archives. Just a moment. What am I looking for? That would be under I think here. Yes, here. Okay. We're warm. Just a moment. I think it's this. Maybe here. That's the midichlorians. just a moment. I have it I think it's this one. Pretty sure it's this one. Okay, I'll show you the Stormtrooper thing. Okay, this is from Star Wars Archives. Came out just months ago. You guys can see that? Yeah, okay. I'll read this real quick to you. The Chosen One, George. When writing the movies, I tried to make sure that aliens and droids got killed, but not people. A lot of stormtroopers died. That's right, but you didn't know they were people. We did kill 3 humans, and that was unfortunate. I was always bothered by it. When was that? On the Death Star. When Han and Luke go into the prison with Chewie to rescue Leia, they shoot 3 Imperial guys. The guards drew their guns and fired first, but still a shame. Really? Yeah, we very consciously didn't kill very many humans in those movies. This interview is from around November 2019, by the way. What are the in those movies? What about the stormtroopers? They look robotic, but they're not. How do you know what they are? George Lucas says. Did you have a different idea of what they were? Yeah, they started out as clones. Once all the clones were killed, the Empire picked up recruits, like militia. They fought, but they weren't very good at what they did. That's why they kept missing. Then after the Rebels won, there were no more stormtroopers in my version of the 3rd trilogy. I had planned the first trilogy to be about the father, the second trilogy about the son, and the 3rd trilogy to be about the daughter and the grandchildren. Episode 7, 8, and 9 would take ideas from what happened after the Iraq War, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You fought the war, you killed everybody. Now what are you going to do? Rebuilding afterwards is harder than starting a rebellion or fighting the war. When you win the war and you disband the opposing army, what do? The stormtroopers would be like Saddam Hussein's Ba'athist fighters that joined ISIS and kept on fighting. The stormtroopers refuse to give up when the Republic wins. They want to be stormtroopers forever, so they go to a far corner of the galaxy, start their own country and their own rebellion. There's power vacuum, so gangsters like the Hutts are taking advantage of the situation, and they're in chaos. The key person is Darth Maul, who had been resurrected in the Clone Wars cartoons. He brings all the gangs together. All right, so I've read this before. We can look at it more again if you guys are really that interested. But the main thing is I wanted to show you the stormtroopers. So there you go. They were just militia. And there were shows and comics and movies before Iron Man, right? My mistake. Julie Madison is Batman's first love interest, not his longest. Droid attacking the Wookiees. That we don't have details on. Fun. There you go. I read what was about the stormtroopers. Yep. And you notice he said they started off as clones. He wasn't saying that directly the stormtroopers were clones. Is that's right how the concept in the Empire, the white suits, the troops for the Republic, and then they were shifted to militia for the Empire. But as he said also, they were all killed off. So there's no clones in episode 4. They're just recruits, people that become they're just militia. Dave Dildoni. That's why. Because they are, that's George even says that's why they miss, because they're not really trained. They're just loosey-goosey people. But Dave, again, have you ever watched Star Wars? Doesn't get it. And he over dramatizes stuff and overplays it. And then that's why you had the scout troopers that are like 2 feet from a can and can't shoot it. I mean, that's ridiculous. One thing is you're in battle. There's all this stuff going on, smoke, sound, people shooting at you. You're disorganized. But another thing is you've got 2 scout troopers who are a little more elite than the regular stormtrooper. And they're sitting right there stationary shooting in a can and they can't hit it for nothing. I get it. You're trying to do humor, but you're also like totally making the stormtroopers the Empire worthless. If they can't hit that fucking can, then what's the point of having stormtroopers anyways? They didn't. There's no point in that. They couldn't hurt anybody. So what's now? Stormtroopers never were elite. The Empire ruled more so by intimidation. But if there was no actual threat, no stakes and emotions, then there's no Star Wars. What's the point? They're all getting chased around for no reason. The base salary of a stormtrooper, I don't know. No idea. I would think they make some credits. But if they're like any other military, we don't get paid a whole lot. What you do get is everything pretty much for free. All your medical, your living expenses, your family gets full coverage of everything. You get 3 meals a day. You don't really have any bills. So therefore, even though that you make little money, you don't have any bills. That's why a lot of people in the military take advantage and they buy a brand new car or buy a home, because everything you make is basically yours. You know what I mean? So I would assume it's kind of like a human military structure where they don't make much, but they have full benefits of everything. And when I say full benefits. Plus, you go to the PX, and like a stereo that costs you $300 costs me $100. You see what I'm saying? So you get discounts and everything. You get everything free. Plus, as a veteran or even an active duty, people give you free coffee. They give you free meals. They, stuff like that. So that's the thing with the military. You don't make a lot of money, but you do get pretty much everything for free. You also get a lot of help with school and getting home and stuff like that. So now, if you're a high-ranking officer, yeah, you're making some cake, but it's not like you're making, millions of dollars. But when you have no bills, let's say you're making $120K a year with no bills, that's some good money. 120K is good money regardless, but you've got no bills. Hey, I can't begin to count all the times they were dumbasses. I knew they weren't the brightest in the original trilogy, but in Rebels, they're so incompetent. Yeah, and in Mandalorian. OSHA's concerned about no safety rails in the Death Star. I'm sure they are. The Death Star brings many safety violations. Or safety regulations. The idea Lucas had for 7, 8, and 9 is great. My stepdad thought it would have been interesting if 7, 8, and 9 were like the fall of the Soviet Union. Someone wants to bring back the Empire. I didn't read the whole thing, but I've read it before to you guys, that Luke starts the Jedi Order again shortly after Jedi, but there's no Jedi, so he's training 2- and 3-year-olds. So, to Star Trek. Original trilogy, the Empire was really scary and looked hard to beat. And in Rebels, they fall at the end of every season. Yeah, they get their asses kicked by 5 random teenagers. Yeah, they got paid a decent amount, but not crazy. Since they lived in Imperial bases, they most likely sent what money they made back to their families, if not using it when they were off duty. Yep. Sheila, could you get me the plans for the Death Star? Yes. All right. Unless you guys have a specific question or something you want to talk about, I'll probably end because I am getting hungry and I want to record that so I can make a video. And that way I can get it out in the next couple hours for you guys. And we can really hear like specifically what he said without me talking or distractions of chat or anything like that. Plus I know Bounding is going to jump all over that one. Hello there, General Kenobi. You're a bold one. Yes. So, couple little things. My Wednesday YouNow stream, I'm going to do tomorrow night. Wednesdays have been kind of slow. So I'm going to try tomorrow night. Plus, I want a little bit more gap. That Wednesday long stream till Thursday trying to recoup, and then doing the Friday main show is kind of wiping me out. So I'm going to try tomorrow. That way I have a 2-day buffer, and then Friday I can be a little more energetic and maybe start earlier. I don't intend to start so late on Fridays, but it's like I'm doing so much other stuff and researching and getting stuff ready for the show, and that's because I'm cramped. So I'm gonna do the YouNow tomorrow night. That's just the open chill stream, and then that gives me Wednesday and Thursday to prepare and rest and all that for Friday. So just heads up on that. Tomorrow night I'll do the YouNow. I'm also going to be doing a lot more gaming. I had to sort out some stuff, like with Call of Duty Mobile, the controller. I got a controller and it just doesn't want to map right, and that's because it's a mobile game going through an emulator, and it's just a pain. So, but that I can play on my laptop pretty efficiently. I'm not as sharp as when I play it on my phone, but I still pwn people. So I will do Call of Duty streams. More importantly, I had fired up KOTOR. I'm going to put SWTOR to the side. I do like SWTOR, but I really want to jump into KOTOR. So I had fired it up and started playing, but then I was having issues and it wasn't in full screen and this and that. I believe yesterday I sorted it all out. I have it nice and full screen. It's at a nice resolution. So maybe Wednesday, or who knows, maybe tomorrow I'll play a little bit. But look, because I will be doing KOTOR live streams. Also, I was kind of figuring it out, so I started the stream kind of after I made my character. I want to start the stream and like go from the beginning, creating my character and going forward, like truly doing a full walkthrough. I've already created my character, so I can make him in 2 minutes. But I figure I'll play again for like half an hour, really get the controls ironed out and the feel of everything, and then I'll start I won't save it. I'll just start a new game and I'll start streaming from there, a full KOTOR campaign. So look for that. I will be doing that. I'm thinking Wednesday I'll have time. So I'll start that, and what I would like to do is one day YouNow, which maybe will be Tuesdays, one day gaming, which might be Wednesdays or might be the weekend, and then I'll always do my Friday show. The gaming might be more than one day, or it might be a different day. But the gaming, it's like I don't have to think as much or stress or talk so much. That's a big part of it, guys, is talking for 8 hours. It cooks you. So the gaming, I can just focus on having fun and playing the game and just commenting a little bit here and there. So that's not as draining as doing the other streams. So look for that. KOTOR, I might play a couple times a week. We'll see. But I'm thinking this week, Wednesday, I'll fire it up again officially, and I'll do a stream both on Twitch and YouNow. And as always, once that Twitch stream is ended, it exports over to my Not My Star Wars gaming channel. So you can always watch the replay there of KOTOR and Call of Duty if that interests you. So look for that. I will be doing more gaming. I've been for a long time now wanting to do it, but it's always one thing or the other. And now I've kind of juggled and balanced things to where I'll be able to do that. So KOTOR is coming. Have a good evening, YouTube, bro. Season 1, Inquisitor dies. Season 2, Vader leaves. And 2, Inquisitor dies. And Season 3, Thrawn falls. Season 4, Governor Lady dies. And Thrawn goes missing. Yeah. Shit is dumb. Take care, guys. I'm going to head over to Twitch now stream. Cool. You have a fun gaming. Was an inside job? No. But on Tuesday, we could talk about that. Damn you. Thrawn's so threatening and talks a big game, but he doesn't do anything. Yeah, no, they cuck him. They make him totally a dumbass in Rebels, and it's just stupid. That's not Thrawn. You have a good night, too. The canon video is coming, okay? I have these major projects hanging over. The Mandalorian, which is like just there. I worked on it again the other day. I'm getting very close. Just got to wrap it up. The Empire project, which I would have liked to have done by June 15th, but obviously that ain't going to happen by tomorrow. So I have the Underworld video, which is another one that I would like to prioritize, and the Disney, does Disney can't know what Star Wars canon is. So those are the biggies that I want to get out of the way. And then stuff like today, I'll make this little video. So you guys are not going to see as many videos. You're going to see bigger ones, more detailed ones. And of course, I'll cover any little miscellaneous stuff that comes up. But you're going to see more streams and bigger videos with a little bit more of a gap. So thank you for the stream. As always, it's been a pleasure. No, my pleasure. And thank you guys for stopping in. I appreciate you guys. Please make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And I will see you very soon. Remember, tomorrow night, I'll be hanging out on YouNow. That's open convo. Please stop by and hang out. And if nothing else, I will see you Friday for the main show. So you guys have a great night. Thank you as always. I really appreciate the support. I think you need this.
Unreal!
Disney, if you make a proper Video Man movie, I might actually speak nicely about you for once.
And we had ideas going up on the board and Daniel scribbling dinosaurs. It was so great.
May the Force be with us.
All right, guys. I will see you after.
After. After what? After.
And don't forget.
Please like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, keep your comments to yourself.
But of course you can.
Uba. Uba. Uba.
All right, guys. Take care. I will see you soon. Thanks as always. And I'm going to try my damnedest to have that video up in the next few hours. So look for it. It's going to be short. 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It's going to be a short little video. But that way we can really look at what he said and all laugh. So remember where you heard it first. Not my Star Wars. Love you guys. See you soon. Be good. May the Force be with you. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. May the Force be with you.
Impressive. Most impressive.